get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Oh, welcome. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Fry. Hello to you, Ryan Wiggins.
Hello to you. Welcome back.
Thank you. I get another day here, and we do have a YouTube live chat poll up. What is the poll for today?
It's very, very simple, although quite deep at the same time. America's best days, are they ahead or are they behind?
Oh, that's a big one. Don't we always look back and say the best is behind us? But then on New Year's Eve, once a year, you say the best is yet to come. Once a year, you're allowed to think that. But maybe some people think it today. I guess we'll find out in the YouTube poll. Did you get to watch the convention last night, J.D. Vance's speech?
Once again, I watched mostly coverage of the RNC rather than the actual RNC just because of bedtimes for the kids. But I did watch, as usual, also. Woke up this morning, watched a good portion of clips. I thought J.D. Vance's speech, from what I saw, was terrific.
Very likable. I watched it this morning, and I saw some other things online. Seriously, what happened to Matt Gaetz's face?
Is that real? I mean, I'm starting to think that might be the old cheap fake that we keep being told is out there.
Oh, wait a minute. What is going on with that face? Why would he do that to himself? All right, but there's also another surprising star of the Republican convention. We'll get to that, too. And I had Ethan pick 3 clips. In fact, there was 3 things I wanted to play from the convention speech last night with J.D. Vance. And some people say the rising star right now is this dog they keep showing in the crowd. But really, I think the new star is J.D. Vance's grandma, who got a name drop a couple of times last night. Now, I don't know what order these clips are in, Ethan, but I'll let you play which one you want first. There's in one where he talks about how his grandma said, basically threatened him if he hung out with this one shady person in his neighborhood. Can we play that one?
Joe Biden screwed up, and my community paid the price. Now, I was lucky. Despite the closing factories and the growing addiction in towns like mine, in my life, I had a guardian angel by my side. She was an old woman who could barely walk, but she was tough as nails. I called her Mamaw, the name we hillbillies gave to our grandmothers. Mamaw raised me as my mother struggled with addiction. Mamaw was in so many ways a woman of contradiction. She loved the Lord, ladies and gentlemen. She was a woman of very deep Christian faith. But she also loved the F word. I'm not kidding. She could make a sailor blush. Now, she once told me, when she found out that I was spending too much time with a local kid who was known for dealing drugs, that if I ever hung out with that kid again, she would run him over with her car. That's true. And she said, JD, no one will ever find out about it.
Isn't that great? Okay, so I'm starting to like this grandma. What do you think that strategy, grandma looking after the grandkids, it's something that one day we'll probably be in that situation, Wiggins. Our kids it's going to be a long time, hopefully, before our kids start having kids. But you can understand that. You want to make sure your kids and your grandkids are on the right path. You don't want them going down with drug dealers and stuff. You don't think that makes him look bad, saying when he was younger he ran with drug dealers or anything, do you?
Now, this was the one major takeaway from his speech. This was the one that was making the social media rounds, which really is what matters nowadays. That 45 seconds to a minute that ends up on Twitter and Facebook, that is really what most people are going to see from whatever speech, whoever's giving that speech. And I thought that one, that's the one, that you just played, that was making the rounds, and I thought it was great. It was I hate to say common man, because even saying those words makes you feel like you're not one of the common man, but it was such a normal story. And I think it just resonates because like everybody knows somebody who's like, yes, I believe in the Lord, and they got a filthy mouth. Like that's just something that everybody knows that person. And especially for it to be his grandma, you go, okay, I don't know J.D. Vance. Now I feel like I know him a little bit.
I like that he refers to himself as a hillbilly. That's nice too. And we knew that would be a common thread. But overall, his whole speech, the tone of his speech was basically that. It was different than other politicians' speeches. So if you watch the convention and you see some of these other people, they'll get on the stage and they look very serious, right? They got their fists going and they're looking straight into the camera and they're showing great resolve and they're very stern in what they're saying. JD Vance is like, he looks so much more comfortable, and the way he speaks is just so much more reassuring that it just so much more real. And it was awesome to see that and to think if that's what Donald Trump saw in him, I understand why he picked him as a vice presidential running mate. There was something else he brought up with his grandma. I don't know if you heard this one when she died. They went into her home and found some things. Ethan, can we play that clip too? This is another one about some of the surprises that they found after she passed.
Now, my mamaw died shortly before I left for Iraq in 2005. And when we went through her things, we found 19 loaded handguns. Now, the thing is, they were stashed all over her house, under her bed, in her closet, in the silverware drawer. And we wondered what was going on. And it occurred to us that towards the end of her life, Mamaw couldn't get around so well. And so this frail old woman made sure that no matter where she was within arm's length of whatever she needed to protect her family. That's who we fight for. That's American spirit.
Oh, wow. All right. I know people like that. I have friends when they were, I don't know, as soon as they turn 18, 19, 20 or whatever, they could go legally buy a handgun. They would buy guns and they would stash them in their house, like in certain. Now, this is before kids, of course. You can't do that when you got young kids running around, obviously. But when you're old and you're the only one in the home, or you're young and you're the only one in the home, no kids are coming around. That happens. And tell me, everyone has like that moment where they go into their parents' or their grandparents' home after they pass and they find those things in their house. They thought, Grandma, what were you doing? I love that story too.
Yeah, I did too. In fact, again, everybody knows that person. I'm that person, except with Reese's peanut butter cups. But that story I thought was not only like identifying, he really leaned, his grandma must have been a real character, because all I've seen from J.D. Vance, I mean, literally, we were in politics. All I've seen from J.D. Vance is clips from mostly Fox News, maybe a couple from his debate a couple years ago, where he's a real firebrand. He's a fighter, kind of like Trump. I mean, that's what they kept saying. Oh, he's a Trumpian kind of guy. This kind of stuff is the exact opposite of that. And therefore, that's why this was a big win for the Republican ticket and for J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, because the only thing you knew about the guy was the fight stuff. Well, that's fine. I'm glad that stuff's there. But now you see, oh, this is a guy. And like you said, Ryan, he's super comfortable speaking at these events. He's very good at it.
Now, I need to know real quick, are the peanut butter cups used for self-defense as well?
Oh,
or
no.
for different reasons?
They're used for self-coping.
Okay.
And
yeah.
Got it. Just needed to clarify. You said
diabetes
reasons, so I just need to make
emergencies.
sure. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Isn't that great, though? Whenever you need a little pick-me-up, you just find one hidden someplace where you put it, kind of like a squirrel with acorns.
Yeah. It's one of the best things about me.
Is that something, too, where you always know where the closest Reese's is? Like, for example, do you have any hidden in the studio right now?
No, I would know it, unless I've forgotten, which I don't think I have. But I
will.
will.
Can you like smell them from
No,
a distance?
but I will forget that I've hidden something. This happened just this week. I opened a cabinet that doesn't normally have candy in it, and I realized that I had stuck a Twix. It was like an off-brand Twix that I got at IKEA a while back. Yeah. I know. I was like, why? But I stored it back there because I knew, you know what? I don't really feel like eating this right now, but I will. And I found it, and I was very happy. It's those little moments, that J.D. Vance reminded me of last night.
That seems such a strange. I know there's an off-brand of everything, but I've never seen an off-brand Twix. That's a first.
Yeah, well, Swedish Twix.
I was just really hoping you'd reach behind the TV and not even look and just pull a candy out from behind it. Wouldn't that be? And if not, you should probably start doing that, for one day you will need it. And the engineers will be mad when there's melted chocolate behind a TV.
That's why you don't do it.
This?
That's why you don't do it, Ryan. You don't put stuff behind electronics for that reason. That's a rookie mistake.
Learned your lesson.
Yeah.
It's like John McClane in Die Hard, where you're taping guns to your back. Instead, you got in other spots.
Yeah.
All right, there was one other JD Vance clip from last night, and the crowd was chanting. And I got to tell you, the crowd was a little bit into it last night. You can tell they were in a good mood. Sometimes you hear things you're kind of surprised by, as in, wow, you must have. It was one of those. I guess I would have had to have been there to get the full effect for this. Can we play this one chant, Ethan?
You guys are a great crowd. Wow. And
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
I'm sorry, but that's just funny. Like, if you're the guy that started that chant, raise a glass to that guy. That was funny.
That's one that nobody expects it to go anywhere. It's just saying it once, and then
Few
when you
people
have a ruckus
joined, and
crowd, it's
now
like
it's a wave.
all of a sudden there's thousands of people chanting, "Yes, we are."
Yeah. Oh, this is a really good crowd. Yes, we are. I love it. It's patting yourself on the back big time for that. That, to me, you just had to have been there, but I thought that moment was just fantastic. I think that really gives to the overall feel of what JD Vance is trying to accomplish as a running mate, as a politician. You have seen him, you're right, on Fox News and give certain, a little bit stronger, different type of tone to some of his answers. I don't know if that's just like him auditioning or he thought he was doing what he needed to. But if we see this type of tone moving forward, and let's say he goes into the vice presidential debate, they'll have Kamala Harris on the other side. Kamala Harris is going to bring up something like, okay, Republicans are racist and they want kids to die and, guns are bad. She'll say all the regular talking points that Democrats will say. I just want him to turn around and just give the old hillbilly answer to some things that'll just make him look so much better and her so much worse. That's the moment I want to see, as opposed to him coming back really fiery and, hey, it's just politicians saying their talking points again. He seems like he can take that off the cuff a little bit better, be more relatable, and come out the winner just because of that. It doesn't necessarily have to have a ton of substance to it, but he can just say something hillbilly like, or whatever he describes himself as. And people are going to see that and they'll be like, I like that guy. And that's all you need, honestly.
Yeah. In a social media world, those clips matter, and they matter a lot. And you're right. That's a good observation, because Kamala Harris, whenever she's kind of off the cuff, she does things that people just kind of cringe at. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but like that happens. She says things, laughs, people just go, she's not relatable. She's got the Hillary Clinton thing.
She doesn't laugh. She cackles.
Cackles, whatever that is. And she uses phrases and stuff when she's off the script. Now, when she's trainable, though. So when you train her to be serious, she will go through an entire speech and give a fine speech, if you like the content of the speech, of course, but she'll deliver it okay. But you're right about the off the cuff moments. When she's not delivering a script, JD Vance showed me last night that he can be that kind of affable, kind of likable guy, where I don't know that she can do that.
Do you think Kamala Harris will give the same line she gives all the time? She's going to unburden once what has been, or something along those lines. But she says that line over and over and over again. You think she's saving it for the debate, and she'll use it one more time? Oh, go ahead.
I don't think she will, but here's what needs to happen. JD Vance needs to say it over and over. You want to win the night? That's how you do it if you're JD Vance. He should just say quotes. Yeah, like quotes from her, like Venn diagrams. He should use it all night.
So we're going to unburden once has been, or I can't remember the exact line, but she says it all the time. Oh, that would be hilarious. So the other big rising star in this is the West Virginia's governor, Jim Justice, brought his bulldog, and it's just a fat, chubby dog. And it's sitting there on the chair, looking fat, chubby, and happy. And people, they love seeing this. It was the new political pet, they're calling it. Baby Dog is the name of the dog, was relaxing on a leather armchair. This English bulldog seemed very content in front of all the politicians. I can get behind that too. This Republican convention has everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely been a show. I mean, the dog is certainly out there with Jim Justice. I don't know. Like, this is the kind of stuff that makes you go, have we jumped the shark here?
Oh, no.
I mean,
no!
That video has taken Twitter by storm. I've seen multiple big account saying nothing could have prepared me for this wide shot where it goes from just him speaking to the wide shot and the dog's just sitting there.
I know. You're like, what? I mean, this is really what it is now. It's not a nominating convention anymore. It's a big show to showcase, hopefully, policy. But I guess this is the stuff that makes headlines, so that's what you do now.
You're talking to your own people, right?
Yeah.
The people at the convention are in your own party. I heard right before this on Brian Kilmeade, the guest that was on, and I didn't catch his name, but basically said there's a new orientation with the Republican Party. So you're starting to see a shift that way. To me, I look at that and say, all right, this is like bring your dog to work type of feel. Like you've been to someone's house where, the golden retriever is just kind of hanging out on the farm. That's the type of feel of the Republican Party. They want that sort of thing. What they don't want is all the things that the Democrats point at them and say you are. They're saying, no. They're liars, by the way. So here's what we really are. We are a bunch of hillbillies where mama stores guns in her house and we got the fat bulldog hanging out. That's what we are. That, to me, is a much better image than trying to get into the mud with the Democrats and trying to defend yourself on these positions they want you to defend yourself on to make you look bad. They're saying we're not doing that anymore. To me, that's a smart strategy. Maybe we'll have to ask Hans von Spakovsky about that, and I'm sure he's got some thoughts on it too.
It's
I
a
tell
little
you, Ryan Wiggins.
It's a little harder to do on radio, so they're using the TV medium very well. Because and I think this may be a strategy for all future speeches from here on out. Really, really serious topic, but there's a cat. Get people's attention by just having something cute. Oh, look, there's a little squirrel and he's eating a walnut. But you're talking about, like gun rights, like that. That's the way to do it.
All right. By the way, YouTube live chat poll again. What is it?
America's best days. Are they ahead or are they behind? You have two choices.
That's it. You can only pick one or the other. All right, so go and vote on the YouTube live chat poll. You can watch us on there, too. Coming up after the break, Hans von Spakovsky. He's a senior legal fellow with the Heritage Foundation, and we got a lot to talk to him about. And Wiggins America later this hour, too. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't go anywhere.
Ain't nobody looking back again.
Well, there's a very good chance as you've driven down your street, you have admired houses in your neighborhood that have been covered in Rhino Shield, and you don't even know it. Except if you pay close attention, you'll notice that they're not being repainted every couple of years. What I mean is same bright, vivid colors that you would choose with regular paint, except that Rhino Shield lasts, and you're going to get a 25-year warranty with it. I've got it on my house, and I mean it looks like it did the day they put it on. It lasts and lasts. It's lab tested to last that long against chipping or peeling or cracking. And they put this on businesses as well. Condo units from Springfield, Illinois, all the way down to the Lake of the Ozarks. You can find it. And my friend Darren will be happy to come over and give you a free evaluation of your home. All you have to do is call him. Tell him you heard Mark Cox talking about it. 877-25-RHINO or online at 877-25rhino.com.
Liberal mega donors are always looking for new rhinos to do their bidding. And with Adam Schnelting, they found their new star. Adam Schnelting has already backed their radical plan to defund our police. And he skipped countless important conservative votes. Skipped a vote to protect kids from sexually explicit materials in school. And skipped a vote to protect churches from junk lawsuits. It's no wonder Adam Schnelting is bankrolled by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden's top funders. Bill Cristofanelli is the only leader we can trust to protect our conservative priorities. When radicals tried to defund the police, Bill Cristofanelli passed record funding from Missouri's law enforcement. When Joe Biden left our southern border wide open, conservative Bill Cristofanelli banned sanctuary cities and voted to send Missouri National Guard troops to secure the border. Vote Bill Cristofanelli, the proven conservative, for state senate.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 five-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 500 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 500, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 to save 15% today.
They're pounding on the door. They're calling on the phone. They're threatening to close your business. If debt has your business on the brink, call Ray Reynolds, the godfather of credit. For over 40 years, Ray Reynolds has helped thousands of customers get millions in cash credit. It's no wonder why they call Ray the godfather of credit. He may even be able to raise your score above 750 before the end of the year. You could even get a new personal or business credit line up to $50,000 within days. If your credit needs a rebuild, call Ray Reynolds and receive a $1,000 cash credit card at closing. Raise your credit score to 750 or more. Call Ray Reynolds at 800-576-2295. 800-576-2295. Learn about Ray's secrets to success and how he can fix and improve your credit score to 750 or more. Call the godfather of credit rebuild, Ray Reynolds, at 800-576-2295. 800-576-2295.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Get in your comfort zone with a free home safety package on a new HVAC system. That's an almost $800 value for free. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Every evening this week, the Republican National Convention is here. From 8 to 10, we're bringing you the convention plus live coverage. The Republican National Convention, every evening this week on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Annie Fry. Happy to be with you here today. Joining us now is a legal fellow with the Heritage Foundation's Hans von Spakovsky.
We the people of the United States,
More perfect.
in order to form a more perfect union,
Heritage legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Hello, Hans.
Ryan, how are you?
Great. It's convention week. Have you been watching the convention, or perhaps maybe did you get to travel up to Wisconsin?
I did not travel up to Wisconsin, but I have been watching it. And boy, I tell you, I tend to watch all of the presidential conventions, and this one seems to be a bit more exciting than a lot of the others that we've seen in recent years.
Okay, let's talk about that, because right before the show here, we also air Brian Kilmeade's show, and he had a guest on that discussed the different tone in this year's convention. He said this is showing perhaps a new orientation with the Republican Party, what he's seen. So can you explain what you mean by that, what you're seeing differently?
Well, I tell you, for a long time, the Democratic Party painted itself as the party of the working man, and painted the Republican Party as, the party of country club rich people. But when you look at the people speaking at the Republican convention, you look at the positions they've been taking on everything from foreign policy to domestic affairs, and you look at who Donald Trump picked as his vice presidential candidate, those roles seem to have been reversed. I mean, it really seems like the Republican Party now is putting itself forward as the party of the working man and woman in this country. And I think that's kind of a reversal, like I said, of the images of those parties and who they're striving to reach.
Right. And, not that it matters, but you have J.D. Vance up there. He's got a beard. You see that in presidents, vice presidents. It's been a while since we've seen something. He refers to himself as a hillbilly. He talks about his past where his grandma had guns in the house, and, he served this country, and he's very conversational, and he feels a little bit more laid back. And to me, what we saw with Donald Trump, he came in and he said, I'm not a politician. So I'm a businessman. I want to run this country differently because we've seen how politicians have ruined this country. He comes in and does things and looks at it in a different way. He's doing it a different way too. JD Vance comes in and he says, oh, look at this guy. Here's the hillbilly who's got this I'm like you type of mentality, even though he went to Yale,
Right.
but I'm like you. And you can relate to me that way. And you know what? I think it really worked with a speech like that last night.
Oh, no, look, I completely and totally agree. And look, the whole country watched in shock and dismay at the almost successful assassination of Donald Trump on Saturday. And I think that has also radically changed the tone of this convention, with, the expression being one of unity. And while we have seen, Joe Biden coming out and others on his side of the political aisle saying, well, we've got to lower the temperature, we shouldn't use such harsh political rhetoric. Well, that harsh political rhetoric was all coming from Joe Biden's side of the political aisle, including from Joe Biden. So in a lot of ways, that also puts them, I think, at a disadvantage because it's going to be hard for them to continue the kind of, frankly, almost violent criticism they've engaged in of calling Donald Trump the new Hitler, or saying that he and other Republicans are a threat to democracy. I mean, that's tough, pretty tough to sustain under circumstances like this.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And here's the thing that I found a little bit concerning too, because even after that event, you had Joe Biden sit down with Lester Holt, and Lester said, have you done any soul searching in some of the language that you're using? Perhaps maybe some of the people around you, your surrogates and your campaign may have been using, and have you wanted to calm that down? And Joe Biden's answer to that was, look, you should be talking about Donald Trump's lies in his threat to democracy. So not only has he not reflected on what caused perhaps Saturday and maybe the delusions of the person that decided to carry out an attempted assassination, but he's continuing with the same rhetoric. So I think the answer is they have learned nothing.
No, they have learned nothing. But look, that shouldn't surprise anybody about Joe Biden. I mean, if you look at his long Senate career, he's always been a very mean, nasty U.S. senator. Just think back to the unbridled character assassination that he engaged in when he chaired the Senate Judiciary Committee and the nomination of Clarence Thomas was up. The things that he did back then, the pettiness, the meanness, the viciousness of his behavior then, he hasn't changed in 40 years.
Yeah. Can we talk about Saturday and what happened in Pennsylvania? Because looking at it on a governmental side, we've seen issues with the Secret Service in the past, even going, I think one of the first cracks I started to notice was during the Obama administration, when those stories came out of them partying, when they were like going to foreign countries, they're out there partying and they're not being, we've seen so many agencies of the government we once revered, FBI being one of them. And we look at it and we say, man, it's degraded so far to the point where the protection detail of a former president and the candidate that's running for president again, at the point where the head of the Secret Service will come out and say, well, we knew there could have been a threat there. We knew about the threat, but the slant of the roof was too much for us to bear to try to secure this building. What's happened to agencies like the Secret Service?
Well, it's a combination, I think, of incompetence, rising to its highest level, and factors other than getting the best people for the job involved. I mean, think about the woman who's the head of the Secret Service and her failures since she got appointed by Biden, including not being able to figure out who put cocaine in the White House, doing nothing about attack after attack after attack on her agents by the president's different dogs, and she did nothing about it. And then she comes out with a totally ridiculous, absurd, lame excuse like that. I mean, the fact that she, in an interview, said that her main goal was to make sure that 30% of the agents were women tells you that her number one goal was not getting the best people that she could to protect the president. DEI was her goal. And look, she shouldn't be in that position. She should resign and get somebody who really knows what they're doing there. Whether it's a man or a woman doesn't matter, but a real qualified professional.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you can look at, here's what happens. If you bring that up, some people, and mostly on the Joe Biden side of it and what's going on inside of his administration, will call you a name for that. Oh, I guess you just don't like women, or you don't like that. I think we got to really go back to realizing that there's certain jobs that require certain qualifications. And if you can't do the job, you can't force someone that's not qualified to do it, because in this case, someone could have lost their life and almost did.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And look, if they can find a 6'3" woman who is therefore tall enough to block potential shots when they are surrounding a presidential candidate, fine, hire her. But, hiring somebody who's 5'5", who is way below the height of the person you're protecting, and therefore you can't actually physically protect them, that makes no sense whatsoever. And that's what gets people killed. And everyone here should remember it was a split-second decision by the president to turn his head. That is the only reason he is alive today.
Really amazing. It truly is amazing, the circumstances and how that could have all gone differently. And you know what? Those Marvel superhero movies where there's the alternate universes, we almost lived in one. I mean, it was a split second. We were almost in that alternate universe. By the way, if people wanted to read your work, find you online, where can they go?
They go to heritage.org, heritage.org, and they'll see just about everything I write there, even when I write elsewhere.
That's right. Hans von Spakovsky, always a pleasure to have you on. I really enjoy when I get to fill in, and I know you're going to be a guest on the show. So thank you so much for coming on today.
That's very kind of you to say. Thanks.
When we come back, Wiggins America, we're going to have our segment. Make sure to go vote in that YouTube live chat poll. Are America's best days ahead or behind us? Lots of comments coming in so far on that one. You can only pick one or the other. I'm Ryan Ricker, filling in for the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Some superhero, some fairy tale bliss, just something I can turn to, somebody I can miss. I want something just like this.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Sell your home as is. Help doesn't matter the condition it's in. Help if you want a simple sale with no agency fees. Claiming groups got you covered, no contingency. House a mess, roof damage, bad taxes, that's all okay. Make sure you remember to call Claiming Real Estate.
Let us help you. ClaimingGroup.com. KLAMEN Group.com.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Seminars Tuesday, August 13th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis, and Wednesday, August 14th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. So tell them today, I love you. Get screened. It could help save their life. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Joe Biden and the radical left opened our borders. They sent border wall materials to the scrapyard and let in more than 7 million illegal immigrants. Why? They think they're importing future Democrat voters, changing our elections forever. Mary Elizabeth Coleman is fighting back. She's a conservative mom on a mission, running for Secretary of State to save the integrity of our elections. Here's Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
There are 77,000 illegals in Missouri. This isn't just an invasion, it's an occupation. I'm Mary Elizabeth Coleman, and I'm running for Secretary of State to save the sanctity of your vote and mine. I'll fight election fraud and ballot harvesting, and I will never let illegal immigrants dilute your vote. And I will stand up to the woke radicals who want to censor our speech, persecute people of faith, and repeal our Second Amendment rights. I'm Mary Elizabeth Coleman, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Friends of Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
We all know how important nutrition is to our health, and now is the time to do something about it. With Neovitin Women's Multivitamin, you can give your body sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to support your daily health. Created by a St. Louis physician, Neovitin Women's Multivitamin is formulated with our proprietary blend for daily support you won't find anywhere else. Best of all, you can get Neovitin Women's Multivitamin delivered right to your door with our convenient monthly subscription. Go to neovitin.com and sign up for a subscription today.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
Every day on the Annie Fry Show, we do a YouTube live chat poll, so you can watch us in several spots, but you can only vote if you watch us on YouTube. The poll today is America's best days. Are they ahead or are they behind? We've had some very interesting comments and answers to this question already. Get your comment in. I'd love to see it, and we'll give you the results near the end of the show. It is 12:43 at the moment. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Every evening this week, the Republican National Convention is here. From 8 to 10, we're bringing you the convention plus live coverage. The Republican National Convention, every evening this week on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in. If you want to find me online, it's easy. Ryan Recker Radio on Facebook. And if you want candy tips, message Ryan Wiggins on Twitter or Facebook, because that's the expert in the room for it. And let's get to it, Wiggins! Wiggins!
Oh! Wiggins! You think he's just joking, but on Wiggins America last week or the week before, I don't remember, we had an interview with somebody who had nothing to do with politics named Bethany Moda. Ethan's laughing because he remembers doing the podcast.
I remember how random it was.
I was like, why? And I was like, you know,
connection?
we get all these PR requests and things all the time, and it's always like, no. So many of them have nothing to do with anything. And with that one, I was like, it was kind of a friend, so I was doing a little bit of a favor. But it was a show all about candy, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. Let's do it. Anyway, the subject of Wiggins America today is not candy, though. It is what to watch for in Donald Trump's speech tonight. So my first question for you guys, Ryan, do you think that the nation is going to be paying more attention tonight than they would have if not for the events of this week?
Ooh, yes. I know the ratings have been great so far for Fox, not so much for CNN and MSNBC. Maybe because MSNBC is not there live, but they try to play off like they're there live with the big screen behind them to make it appear as if they're in the building in Milwaukee. But the only reason they'd show up to Milwaukee is if there was some sort of racial riot there. That's the only reason they would show up. But I think that you'll probably get the same amount of people watching the Republican convention from Fox, but I think you're going to get a big uptick on the other networks. So yes, I think you're going to get more eyes watching.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it's just like what we said in the previous segment, that it's all about the clips. Even if people are not watching live, they're going to want to see what Trump was like. More than even what he said, what was he like? And that is the subject of this Hill article that I've pulled. It's 5 things to watch for in Trump's speech tonight. The first one is, what's the tone? They went with that. They said Trump and those close to him have said repeatedly after Saturday's shooting that he ripped up his original speech and will give instead a completely different address. Ryan Recker, what are you looking for in the tone tonight?
Oh, well, so again, this is pure speculation, but he's got the bandage. We know he's probably on painkillers or something else. So people have been watching videos of the convention and they have noticed he is not as energetic as he usually is, a little bit more subdued. So I'm going to guess that sort of tone continues. He'll be a little bit more subdued. I think that he's going to go out there and he'll probably surprise some people. He probably will stay on script, but he'll have some great off-script moments. I think the crowd is going to just go absolutely crazy when he's out there, and that'll feed him and maybe bolster up some of his energy. He's given some pretty big speeches before, and speeches that have really gotten the party behind him on their side. This perhaps could be his biggest speech ever, like as a politician that he's given. So that's what I'm expecting.
I would agree. This could be the biggest speech that he has ever given, which is saying a lot because that dude gives some speeches, and he was president for 4 years, and he's been part of the national conversation for 9 years now. Can you believe that? So that is the first thing. And you said it, Ryan. His tone has seemed, now he hasn't spoken publicly in this way. There's been some video of him. He's at the RNC, so he's out there talking. He's shaking hands. He did apparently address, I guess, people in the room yesterday or the day before, because there's no official video, but there's handheld video of him in a room that looks like it's not necessarily a big stage, but he's standing at a little podium talking to probably a bunch of delegates, a bunch of people just gathered around. And he did not sound the same Donald Trump to start with. Now, he eventually got to all the same things he always says. He talks about, jobs and illegal immigration. He got there. But the first thing he said when he walked up to that podium was off script. It seemed anyway to me. It was about God. He said, I don't know that I'm supposed to be here. It really makes you think about God. That kind of thing. He stood there for about 15 seconds just kind of saying that thing, over and over in the way that Trump does. He'll make one point and say it 15 times. But that he was doing that. And just, Ryan, you're right. He did come out a little bit. Normally in a room like that, he's like, "Hey, let's go," but he was a little subdued. So the number two, the number 2 is, how does Trump invoke Saturday's shooting? What do you think? Going into this, what do you think he should do?
I think that, of course, he's going to have to acknowledge it. Do you lead off with it? And what you mentioned about him reflecting that I shouldn't even be here would be so powerful that sometimes you don't necessarily lead if you're trying to strategically put that, but if that's the thing that's on his mind, you got to lead with that. And I think that's going to get the crowd in. If you're watching on TV, you're not changing the channel when he's talking about something like that. So, I think that exactly what you said there, happy to be alive. It made me really realize that there's a lot of, divine providence that goes into this nation. And the reason why we're here today, God had its hand all over it. And I want that to happen again. I don't want to kick God out. I mean, that could be a strong message. And I think that can get a resonation from a lot of people.
I would love to hear that. To the question of how does Trump invoke Saturday shooting, I have a weird answer to this question because I don't think he really needs to have it as part of the teleprompter. I think that he will have a speech prepared that will be on that teleprompter. And my guess is you will see him deviate from that quite a bit. And involving that subject, I would love to see him deviate and just kind of speak in the moment. I don't know that we will, but my guess is that based on what I've seen from him in that little behind the scenes speech, is that he might do that. The number 3 on this list of 5 things that we'll be watching for in Trump's speech tonight is how much does he detail a second term, Ryan Recker? What should he do?
Well, I think that he'll probably talk about the things that were successful to him in the first term and say, it hasn't been going so great with the other guy. You notice that too, by the way, with Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. They don't necessarily say Trump by name. They normally say the other guy. So I think that he's going to be very clear. Hey, Joe Biden has either erased or taken back or maybe even gone so far extreme left on some of these policies. You're noticing it with your pocketbook, right? And we're also noticing that we're having issues with illegal immigration, people coming into this country. You know, I heard an argument today, and I wanted to follow up on it a little bit more, but they were talking about how the housing has gone through the roof. And they mentioned, do you think perhaps there's such a demand on housing because of all the hundreds of thousands of people that have entered this country illegally are perhaps taking maybe the lower end houses or whatever, meaning that the only thing available are things that cost a lot of money, and that's how it's impacting you? Maybe he'll look at it more in an economic stance of what kind of a drain this has gone through. I think these are the type of ways he's going to bring up some of these topics tonight to say, this is what happens when you take my policies out. Everything's gone to garbage. This is why you need me back, because I need to right the ship. So I think that's how he's going to address this.
Yeah, and he should. This should be the bulk of his speech. This is actually why you have a convention, is to have the candidates stand up there and give the vision for the next 4 years. And he's got a good one. He's unique in that he's been the president. He doesn't have to tell you what he would do. He can tell you what he has done, and then outline ways that he might do that a little bit differently this next time. But he's in a tremendous position of being able to compare his 4 years to the last 4 years and basically go, which one do you want for the next 4? He should do that a lot, because that's kind of the point. But I also wonder, you know, even as you were talking just now, how do the Democrats do this? Because right now, there is not a Democrat that is telling you really what their vision for the next 4 years is, because definitely not Joe Biden. But it's not even the messengers that are carrying the water for Joe Biden right now. Nobody on the Democrat side, Ryan Recker, is giving a vision for the next 4 years at all.
I think their vision is, I'm trying to think of what their vision is. Basically, we put these initiatives forward that are long-term initiatives, meaning we want your cars to be electric and we want, diversity and inclusion to be in the forefront. And don't worry, we'll tax billionaires to make up for it. And the sort of strategy that the American people are like, oh yeah, this is a great strategy. Not there. It's absolutely not there. So I think like a Kamala Harris, they're going to have to just, what they rely on is saying, what, are you going to vote for this felon over here? That's what they've been relying on, not so much of a platform. And I think that's what you get when you have a bunch of like hires that aren't really used to governing or really have the experience to govern or even plans to begin with, when their plan is more on the idealistic side, the liberal idealistic side. And it's not working for them. So I have no idea what they're going to bring to their convention or what they're going to bring forward. But so far, I can tell you the results of what they brought forward are, people don't like them.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know if you ever had a friend or family member or somebody who close to you who's said, you know what I want to do? I want to pursue my dream and I'm going to open a business, or I'm going to do some project like that. And you think, well, that sounds really nice. You know, that's a really good idea. And then in the execution of doing the business or the project, you realize that they have no clue how to do it. They have a lot of vision, but they don't know how to execute this thing at all. I think most of us have had somebody in our lives like that. That to me is the Democrat Party right now. A lot of ideas.
And maybe part of the problem is, like, let's say their parents are like lying about how good they are the whole time and just trying to convince you to give them more money
to
throw into their losing idea that's just not going anywhere. And that's what the media has done for a lot of these different ideas. They've kind of held the water and it hasn't worked. And they've been the cheerleaders and surrogates in a lot of ways for the party and the people there, because I think a lot of them would vote for them anyway, maybe more sympathetic and have their biases towards that. So when they realize it doesn't work and then they finally get exposed for who they are after this last debate, then a lot of them are starting to know they're in some deep trouble, because the rest of the American people get to see what they've already known.
I'm going to sneak these last two in here of the 5 things we should watch for tonight in Trump's speech. The last, number 4 is Ivanka and Melania join the show. And the 5th is, does Biden overshadow Trump's big night? You want to speak to that before we run out of time here?
What would have to happen? So we know that he has COVID, right? So what would have to happen for Biden to overshadow it?
I guess people are more concerned with him than they are with Trump. That's the only thing I can come up with. Because I just don't think that'll happen.
Like he makes an announcement, I'm stepping down tonight or something like that.
I mean, that seems like the only thing that could do it. But that would do it.
Pull coverage away from a Donald Trump speech. I doubt that will happen. I don't know what'll pull it away. But I got to tell you, it's going to be an interesting speech, and I know you're going to be covering this tomorrow. You said Brad Young's going to be filling tomorrow. What a lucky guy. He gets to handle that speech. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. Jay Ashcroft joins us after the break. 97.1.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. With Ramp, you get full visibility into your company's spending and control who spends what with each vendor. Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts instantly to save your team valuable time. Ramp automates data entry and routine tasks with automated approvals, expense categorization and bill payments, time-consuming tasks. Which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. Get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. RAMP.com/free.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Biden's open border policies are crushing Missouri. Yet, the Jeff City Swamp is boosting a program subsidizing health care for illegals. The same program behind Planned Parenthood's discount abortion scheme. Thankfully, Iraq War veteran Andrew Bailey is on guard. Like Trump, he's a fighter. As your Attorney General, Andrew Bailey won't stop fighting illegal immigrants and Planned Parenthood. Call 314-340-6816 and thank Andrew Bailey. Stand For Us PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. StandForUs.com.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new brick you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-505-1608. 800-505-1608. 800-505-1608.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
If you need someone you can trust for your eye care, go see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Kim St. Ange here. Doctors Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, Royer, and Barry are experts in the diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
She has no intentions to step down. Lisa Brady, Fox News. That from a Secret Service spokesman a short time ago, as the service director, Kimberly Cheadle, faces calls from lawmakers to resign or be fired over security failures at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania. The statement just released says Cheadle deeply respects members of Congress and is fiercely committed to transparency, but that continuity of operations is paramount during a critical incident. Wyoming Senator John Barrasso is one of several Republican lawmakers who confronted Cheadle yesterday in Milwaukee, where the Republican convention is being held.
We want to know, the American people want to know, what are they hiding? Why is no one ever held accountable in this administration, whether it was from Afghanistan or whatever? Why is this woman still in this job as the director of the Secret Service after what happened this weekend?
Barrasso telling Fox News senators were furious that a virtual briefing was cut off yesterday without time for many questions. Cheadle is under subpoena for a House oversight hearing on Monday. The Homeland Security Department, though, is asking for a later date. Two sources just telling Fox News that Butler Township Police told the Secret Service they didn't have enough manpower to put a patrol car in front of the building where the gunman fired from a rooftop. Just getting word that former President Trump met with Cheadle yesterday in Milwaukee. No details yet on that meeting. Tonight, he takes center stage at the convention to formally accept his third Republican nomination for president. President Biden's doctor says he's still experiencing mild COVID symptoms as he isolates in Delaware after testing positive yesterday. The Biden campaign still denying any plans in motion for him to drop out of the race.
Our campaign is not working through any scenarios where President Biden is not the top of the ticket. He is and will be the Democratic nominee.
That's Principal Deputy Campaign Manager Quentin Fulks. Vice President Harris about to speak in North Carolina. America's listening to Fox News.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
No complaints about our weather, not only this afternoon, but right through the weekend. Sunshine in control today, 81 for the high. Tonight, clear skies. For evening plans, think temperatures in the upper 70s. 59 for the low. On Friday, sunny, delightful, 81. Saturday, partly to mostly sunny, 83, and Sunday, 83 and partly sunny skies. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Conservatives need real America First warriors to take the fight to the swamp. But Bob Onder attacked President Trump, proudly voted against him, and opposed Trump on China because Bob Onder is just another career politician we can't trust. Conservatives for American Excellence, Inc., paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. ConservativesForAmericanExcellence.com.
I'm embarrassed to say this. I've been using deodorant on my armpits for 30 years, and anytime I noticed odor anywhere else, I thought I needed another shower, I wasn't clean, or I felt like there was something wrong with me. And then my gynecologist told me about Lumi. It's a whole body deodorant for pits, feet, and privates that controls odor anywhere and everywhere on your body. Since Lumi, I never have to to worry about body odor ever again, anywhere on my body. And that reassurance is worth every penny.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 555 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 555, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUME deodorant.com, code 555 for 15% off your first purchase. With over 200,000 five-star reviews, I am so sure you're going to love it. Or return it for free with Lumi's 60-day money-back guarantee. That's LUME deodorant.com, code 555 to save 15% today.
Tony La Russa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Every evening this week, the Republican National Convention is here. From 8 to 10, we're bringing you the convention plus live coverage. The Republican National Convention, every evening this week on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Fry. Happy to be with you here today. And it's the last day of the Republican convention tonight. The headliner, former President Donald Trump, joining us from the convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Missouri's Secretary of State and candidate for governor, Jay Ashcroft. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It has been a great pleasure to be a part of the Republican National Convention here in Wisconsin.
Oh, I can imagine. And Milwaukee is a really nice city, by the way. And, I know a little bit about Milwaukee. I spent some time there. And I remember, they're Democrats and the mayor is a Democrat. But I remember when it was announced that the Republican National Convention was coming to the city, they said, this is fantastic for us. We don't care about the ideology or anything like that. We're not going to fight all the money and the good people coming to our town. So I was really impressed they handled it the right way. I don't know if Chicago would handle Republicans the same way.
No, I don't think they would. And I think Chicago needs a lot of lessons about the rule of law and enforcing it and putting citizens above lawbreakers. But it's been great to be up here.
Right. All right. So let's talk about the Republican convention. A lot of people are talking about the energy. It sounds like people there are very much energized. There is this story in The Hill. I'm going to read you the first part, and it says, President Biden testing positive for COVID-19 offers grim counter-programming to an energetic Republican National Convention, during which former President Trump is set to give his first speech Thursday since surviving an assassination attempt. And essentially, a lot of the commentators are pointing out the juxtaposition of what you're seeing right now between the two parties, Republicans and Democrats. One is grim, one is energetic and exciting. Tell me about what does it feel like to be at the convention this week? Does it feel that exciting on the ground?
It is exciting. It is electric. It is unified. Republicans always have a more difficult time being unified because we're individuals. We think of ideas. We don't just do what was always done and take our marching orders from the government like the Democrats do. And yet everyone is just aligned in the fact that we've got to get rid of Joe Biden and we've got to put President Donald J. Trump back in the White House. No one, not even including Joe Biden, is better off now than they were 4 years ago.
Well, we'll get to Donald Trump, but did you get to see the speech from J.D. Vance last night? And if you did, what'd you think?
I thought it was great. I honestly don't think it matters who the vice presidential candidate is because of Donald Trump. I think he's going to win, and he's going to win going away regardless. But I think J.D. Vance really enhances that ticket. I think he is a very good fit for what Donald J. Trump wants to do and what he has done in the past. So there was a lot of excitement. And when he introduced his mother and talked about what they had gone through, I mean, it was great. It was there wasn't a dry eye at the convention.
Oh, fantastic. I remember that part. talking about sobriety. And, really, you think about all the different problems we've had with drugs across this country, the opioid epidemic. And, I will point out during the Trump administration, he really was going hard to try to stop this. And, there's so many different aspects to it. It's about charging the people that are out there drug dealing. It's about holding accountability to the people that are supplying these things. It's about stopping the supply coming in from other countries and these other countries that, are destroying America by flooding it in here. But it just keeps getting worse because there's nothing serious taken about the drug problem in the United States since Joe Biden took office. So, I think that's something we don't talk about as much anymore. And maybe JD Vance will bring that to the forefront again.
I think you will. I think you should. The drug overdose problem, it's the number one killer of individuals from the ages of 18 to 45. There are things that can be done to at least make it less of a problem, like shutting down the border, stopping the illegal immigration, quitting, not allowing the cartels to run illegal immigrants across the border and use them as drug mules. That was being done. We were doing what needed to be done under President Trump. And really the first thing that Joe Biden did was wipe away those executive orders that were actually protecting Americans, that were stopping that illegality, that criminality at the border. And we've got to get back to saying, no, we're going to put the people of America first.
Yeah, I think one of the big contrasts we're seeing now, if you go back during the Trump administration, it was, hey, if you're caught dealing this stuff and you put fentanyl in a drug and someone dies, you can be charged with their murder because you're responsible for supplying that, versus where we are today, which is, what we need to do is really just make sure everyone has Narcan on them 24/7 so we can revive them. That's the answer, not stopping it, but just making sure we can treat it. That's the problem, in a lot of different ways when it comes to drugs, because then, you're just enabling more and more people to continue to get hooked on it. It's terrible. Jay Ashcroft joining us here, Missouri Secretary of State. What are you looking forward to tonight for Donald Trump's speech?
I don't know what he's going to say. There have been a lot of reports that he has completely redone his speech after he was shot and then got back up and said, I'm never going to stop fighting for you. But frankly, I just can't imagine the electricity. I can't imagine the emotion when he strides out there on the stage to give out his agenda, his vision to be the next world leader as the United States president. I mean, we had so much good with him for 4 years, then we lost him, and now he's back. That place is going to explode. He's come out on the floor a couple of times just briefly, like to walk to his seats. It's going to be louder than a Taylor Swift concert when he comes out.
Very good. Part of the messaging of this convention, I've heard people talk about the convention, and they said that eyes are starting to open and minds are starting to change about the Republican Party as a whole. They're saying there's this somewhat new orientation. So in the past, Democrats made it sound like they were exclusively for the working people. They're the working people's party. But I think over the last 4 years, we realized very quickly that the party of Joe Biden has not been working for them. And a lot of times they go back and say, well, we were doing a lot better under Donald Trump. Maybe he is the working person's party. And that is kind of like people are starting to catch up to that idea, I guess, in the mainstream. And they're not fighting it as much because they're realizing their lives aren't as good the last 4 years. Are you seeing that too? Does it feel like there's this new orientation direction with the party?
Oh, yes, I think there is. I think there's a greater realization. I think there are people that for decades had been taught that Democrats were for the working class, and they just believed that. And now, after decades of the Democrats promising but never delivering, after the Democrats creating the inflation that we see where blue-collar workers are having to work extra hours, they're having to work an extra job, they're working overtime, they're not able to buy what they used to buy just a year ago, they're realizing that what they're hearing from Democrats just isn't true, and that Republicans actually care about them, that Republicans want every child in this country to be able to get a challenging education. They want everyone in this country to be able to be entrepreneurial if they want, and when they work hard, to keep the rewards, to reap the rewards of their hard work, because we want low taxes and we want to get government out of their way. And that's why you're seeing people in other communities that have historically just voted for Democrats. They're saying, you know what, we're going to vote for Donald J. Trump because he made things better for us.
Yeah, I think a lot of people here listening today want to see Donald Trump back in office, and you're a candidate for governor here in Missouri. Let's say you become governor. I'm guessing there's a lot of work you can do for Missouri when you're working with someone like Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot easier if you don't have to work against the federal government all the time. I know as Secretary of State, it was so much easier to push election ideas and election integrity when I didn't have to worry about the federal government pushing back, when I could work with Donald Trump and his Election Integrity Commission and things like that. That was so much easier than having to fight with the Department of Justice, literally having to kick them out of our polling places in November of 2022 in Cole County because they thought they were above the law. I would love to be able to work with Donald J. Trump, but regardless of who it is, I will never stop fighting for the people of this state.
So let's talk about what in the state of Missouri, what still needs to be done. What are some of your big things you would like to get done that would even be easier if Donald Trump was in office?
Well, number one, we've got to put parents in charge of education. This idea that faceless bureaucrats, unelected individuals know better how to educate your children, what their needs are, is preposterous. We need parents to be in charge of that money. If the local public school is good for their kids, that money just goes there and pays for their tuition. But if there's a better opportunity, a better place for their children, they want a homeschool, they want to go to a charter school, a private school, mom and dad should make that decision. We talk about local control all the time. The best local control for education is mom and dad. And then secondly, we need to get crime under control. We need to support law and order. We need to support our officers. We need Missouri to be the destination for officers that are working in blue states and saying, why are we doing this? Let's go someplace where we can do our job and actually help the people where we live. Let's bring them to Missouri. Let's get 1,000 new officers on the street. Let's make sure we have truth in sentencing. So when you do the crime, you do the time. Let's make sure that we have a special prosecutor law so we can get special prosecutors appointed. And we also modify that so if a prosecutor won't do their job, we can throw them out. We're not going to pay them to coddle criminals and not do their job. And then finally, for the top three, our state budget has virtually doubled in the last 7 years. That's just morally reprehensible. We need to get rid of tax hike Mike's 12.5 cent per gallon gas tax hike, and then we need to move Missouri to having zero state income tax. That's $8.5 billion we need to start returning back to the people and never taking. We need to quit penalizing people for working and subsidizing people, including illegal aliens. We need to quit subsidizing them for not working in our state.
Wow. Something you mentioned right off the bat, the education side of it. And a lot of states, including the state where I'm at in Michigan, the legislature did something really strange. They decided, you know what, instead of funding schools based on a per pupil basis, we're going to put all the money in a pot and then we're going to pay it to the schools based on their current payroll. So essentially, I think they're trying to prevent what's like happening in Missouri, where you can take that money with you, which, so many different parents, they're concerned. They want to make sure their kids have the best education, and they may decide that the public school is the best. They may decide somewhere else is the best. If they take them somewhere else, that money should be able to follow them because you want that kid to have what's best for them. Now, other states are trying to block ideas like that, like what I just saw, and they can do it on the legislative side. So that's why I think it's so important. You got to have someone in there that is openly thinking about what's in the best interest of these kids, not in the best interest of bureaucracy, And that's what scares me too, is that if you're not protecting these sort of people, like the Republican Party has been doing lately, then things continue to get worse. And that's why you got to have these stopgaps.
They will continue to get worse, and we have to act like Republicans. We cannot expect people to continue to elect Republicans if we don't actually do what we say we would do. We need to return integrity to public service. It's become understood that politicians and elected officials lie. We should quit allowing that. We should start holding our candidates and our elected officials accountable. And if they lie to us, we should send them home.
Yep. Well, if people wanted to look you up online and maybe they heard some things you were talking about here, they want to learn more about it, where can they look?
J. Ashcroft Mo on X, AshcroftFromMissouri.com, or Ashcroft from Missouri on Facebook.
Any good restaurants that you've eaten at in Milwaukee during the convention?
I'm at a neat place right now called the Safe House, which is kind of a spy and intrigue type place. Seems cool.
I've been there before. Now, there's a secret way out of it. Have they told you about that yet?
No. What is it?
Okay. Make sure you got a quarter or something. There's a phone booth in there. You put the quarter in the phone booth. It gives you a special message, and it's a secret way out. It's fantastic. All right. So just so you know, it's a little bit strange, but the whole place is kind of strange. It's worth the experience to try it. And famous people. Jay Ashcroft, Missouri Secretary of State candidate for governor of Missouri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And you can always, if you miss some of that interview or some part of it, here's what you could do. It's very easy. You could get the Odyssey app, just use the rewind feature on the app or the website, and you can go back to the start of that. It happened at about 1:07 or so. All right, when we come back, Representative Mike Bost is a congressman for Illinois' 12th District, chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. You can find him online as well. And it's kind of interesting. There was a recent story that Joe Biden was getting nasty with a Bronze Star Democrat that was, just kind of like on the call. What you're seeing a lot of reassurances that, their candidate, their person, the leader of their party is competent. So they have to go and reassure and then convince their own people who have supported them in the past. But sometimes these calls just take a complete left turn. So we're going to talk to him about that coming up too. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Fry Show.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all 3 with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
Who can Missouri Republicans trust to crack down on illegal immigration and communist China? Not Jay Ashcroft. Jay Ashcroft championed a bill that allowed China to buy Missouri farmland and other property near our military bases. Ashcroft took thousands of dollars of travel from liberal groups, including one that pushed amnesty for illegal immigrants. It gets worse. Jay Ashcroft turned his back on America's veterans and opposed providing vets with any benefits at all, including discounts on hunting licenses and prescription drugs. Jay Ashcroft allowed China to buy our farmland. He vacationed with amnesty-loving liberals, and Ashcroft stiffed America's veterans. There's a better choice. As Missouri's governor, Mike Kehoe will stand with President Trump to crack down on China, secure our border, and honor our veterans. Mike Kehoe is the conservative we can trust.
Cops for Kehoe is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Cops for Kehoe, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Help if you want to sell your home as is. Help doesn't matter the condition it's in. Help if you want a simple sale with no agency fees. Claiming groups got you covered, no contingency. House a mess, roof damage, bad taxes, that's all okay. Make sure you remember to call Claiming Real Estate.
Let us help you. ClaimingGroup.com. KLAMEN Group.com.
At Neovitin, we are all about supporting your nutrition, and that's why we are excited about our new Neovitin Omega-3 supplement. Neovitin Omega-3 is formulated with 1,200 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids to help support healthy hearts. Our high-quality omega-3 fish oils are sourced from wild-caught fish and tested for heavy metals. With our convenient monthly subscription, you can get Neovitin Omega-3 delivered right to your door every month with no long-term obligations. Support your daily nutrition and sign up for a Neovitin Omega-3 subscription at neovitin.com today.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Thursday afternoon, my friend Dan O'Donnell, who does Talk Radio Milwaukee, joins us from the convention, and TJ Moe at 5:07.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show.
Record filling in. We're going to be joined by Representative Mike Bost here soon, and he's a chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. Some interesting stories coming out, including this one, rambling Biden gets nasty with Bronze Star Democrat on Zoom call. I'll ask him about that. Also, I brought this up with Ryan Wiggins earlier, and I saw this one story about how MSNBC is not at the Republican convention. However, they're trying to give the impression that they are there. They're sitting behind a desk, and behind them, of course, is the wall TV to make it look like it's the convention down below them, kind of where the press would normally sit or some of these other networks would be sitting. I wonder why MSNBC's list of anchors would not want to be inside of that convention in Milwaukee. Instead, they're broadcasting from their studio in Manhattan, a live feed of the convention floor projected onto the LED screen behind them. And the arrangement, I'm going to read this as part of the article, several veteran television news producers described as unorthodox, was created something of a trope. Casual glance at the screen would suggest MSNBC's top anchors were covering the convention in person, but they're not. I guess there's a couple of different ways to look at it. One, do they really need to be there? You know, does their disdain, could you ever win them over? Could you ever get them to, I guess, be unbiased in their reporting? Is it really a loss for the Republicans in Milwaukee to say that Rachel Maddow and Jen Psaki are not there at the convention? No. I think a lot of times that you want that access because let's say you are another news agency. You want to be able to say, oh, look, here's so-and-so. J.D. Vance is coming up to Radio Row. Let's grab J.D. Vance real quick. Oh, look who over here is this senator here. Is that congressman there? Let's bring that chubby dog up here and get it on camera. You know, it's different when you're inside the building. It does change things than when you're at a studio. It's kind of like, have you ever seen in Major League Baseball during COVID, they said, we're not going to send the play-by-play team out because, you know, that's how it works. What we're going to do is we're going to set television screens in front of them, and they'll broadcast from the studio, and then we'll pipe in the live feed of the crowd to make it sound like they're there live. And it was just all this like theatrics and fakeness that went around with it. And it does change it, even though they're professionals. When you're there, it does change the way that you present yourself or perform in front of a camera. It gives you sometimes a little bit more energy. Sometimes you can turn around and see something with your own eyes and commentate on it because you're there. You can hear something and say, you know what, we're kind of hearing what something's going on over here. And they might be able to present that, bring it to it. I was hoping that they would understand there's value in that. They don't, because in a lot of ways, it's probably very scripted in the things that they're saying. They're probably doing these cutaways. They have their writers, their producers, or whatever already predetermined what they're going to say in their hatred for, you know, Donald Trump. So it's not really a loss. Is our guest Representative Bost available yet? No. Oh, that's a bummer. I was hoping I'd be able to talk to him. Maybe I'll bring up this one story real quick. Oh, we're working on getting him. Okay, that's good. And this is from the Daily Beast. Joe Biden got nasty at times in a tense Zoom meeting with dozens of moderate Democratic lawmakers who called his viability on the presidential ticket into question on Saturday. Part of this interview that Joe Biden just did with Lester Holt is that they asked him about his age, of course, and Joe Biden, in his whispering, basically said, it's okay to ask questions, but hey, don't worry, I'm great. I've never felt better. I'm as, he tells all these lines or whatever to make it sound like he's with it. But in all reality, we know he's not. We know that there's definitely a huge decline over the years. And we're at the point where it's so noticeable that even his biggest supporters are telling him to step aside. That's how noticeable it is. But ultimately, they're not going to force him out. They're probably trying to think of any way to convince him out. Reverse psychology, maybe. But first of all, this is what he said during part of this call. There was a representative from Colorado named Jason Crow, former Army Ranger who served 3 tours in the Middle East, found himself on a personal attack from Joe Biden, as reported by, let's see what this agency's called, Puck.com. Not familiar with them, but Daily Beast is the one that wrote this up. It says, first of all, I think you're dead wrong on national security, President said to Crow. You said what happened recently in terms of the meeting we had with NATO. I put NATO together. Name me a foreign leader who thinks I'm not the most effective leader in the world on foreign policy. Tell me who the blank that is. And then Biden's response got personal to Jason Crow, a former Army Ranger, and said, tell me something you've never done with your Bronze Star like my son. This is a common thread with Joe Biden. He'll speak to these family members who lost a loved one. And a lot of times it's because of his negligence, like Afghanistan, and his terrible calls for it. And then he'll go in there and say, condolences for the loss of your loved one, but let me tell you about my loss. Makes it about him. It's so disrespectful. And he couldn't help himself, knowing that Representative Crow was an Army Ranger, to make it about himself again, to say, you're not like my son. Even though you won the Bronze Star, you're not like my son. Totally disrespectful. I don't know how you would support him after something like that. Joining us now is a U.S. congressman out of Illinois, the 12th District, chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, Representative Mike Bost. Thank you so much for joining us in St. Louis.
No, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So are you in Milwaukee?
I'm actually in Milwaukee. I'm actually standing out right outside of the convention center and where they have the media row and all the displays and many of the restaurants and everything like that. It's a kind of a sunny but cool day, kind of perfect day as long as you stay in the shade a little bit. And but been quite an event so far, and we're going to finish it up tonight.
Milwaukee is a really nice city. In fact, I've been there a few times, and it is very pleasant. And they got a lot of great things going for it. So I got to say, like the Republican Party right now, there's a lot of energy in this convention. There was a story in The Hill, and basically I think they summed it up. The juxtaposition right now is night and day between the two parties when it comes to Republicans and Democrats and what Joe Biden's campaign is going through. So tell me about the atmosphere, what it's feeling like for Republicans right now.
It is really a united feeling. And I've been to several of the conventions over the years. Quite often they're in disarray. You don't know who the nominee is going to be. Things like that. That's not the case here. Everything, and what's really wild is we got all of the actual legal work done on the first session of the nomination and everything like that, and everything but the nomination. Got the second done on the second session, and then normally they don't do that until like late last night or early today. So we've been, we had the ability to do it early. They did it early. That means that everybody's just talking in a positive way. You put with that the vice president nominee came up in time where a lot faster than it normally does, and it was a good announcement. And when I tell you that the unity is the best way I can describe it, but I've got a feeling that the way we're hearing right now, I'm pretty sure when you mentioned it, the Democrats, they're not sure who their nominee is going to be, but I don't know how they walk away from the fact that delegates have already voted, delegates have already been elected.
Yeah. I got to tell you, too, we're talking about former President Trump's first speech since the assassination attempt on Saturday. The signs are he had a prepared speech that was ripped up. He's going to take a different direction for it. It sounds like tonight's going to be a very powerful moment, not just for the former president and hopefully the next president, but also a very powerful moment for this country.
I believe it is. And the reason why is we've always said, people that have trouble with Trump, a lot of people that have trouble with Trump, they have trouble with personality. And it doesn't mean that I think he's going to change how aggressive he is or anything like that. But it will be interesting at least to see how he might change the direction in which he presents his message once you have had a situation where you were so close to losing your life. I've seen that affect a lot of people in my life, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. He's been handling, I think, everything well. Even though before the assassination attempt, if you saw his demeanor in the debate, it was quite different there. So it should be very, very, I think, issue-oriented. Will he still make barbs about certain people in the Democrat Party? Yeah, but will they be the old Trump thing that we used to see that all of a sudden fired up the Democrats and everything like that? I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch it.
In your capacity in Congress, have you had a chance to meet J.D. Vance or work with him at all in the past?
I actually have not, per se. We met in passing, like a group meeting, but not had a chance to sit down and talk with him. However, before he ever became a member of Congress, before he became a member of the Senate, I had already read his book. And wow, what an amazing life where he's accomplished to come to.
It's pretty amazing. So you have the big speech tonight wrapping up the Republican convention in Milwaukee. What do you think the best message would be for people watching? What do you think the right message is? Because a lot of people are looking at it and they're saying the party is a new orientation. You're there for the working people that have been abandoned by Joe Biden. Yeah. So what do you think the right message the people of America need to take away from this?
The right message is this. The previous administration has got it all wrong. We need to make sure we control our borders. We need to bring down inflation. We need to bring more jobs back to this United States, and we need to make sure we become energy independent again. We need to send a clear message that we have a strong leader in the White House that can make decisions to try to send a clear message to those would-be countries that either are already in a war situation or are threatening to be in a war situation, and make them stand down to the power of strength and unity that we, the United States, will show at that point. We also need to make sure that we continue that we will encourage law-abiding citizens to come into this nation. And then we've got to figure out, after we secure our border, on how to clean up the problem of the amount of immigrants that have come across illegally. And that won't happen overnight, but those other things in a short period of time with the administration heading the right way. And I want to see, because as a VA chair, I want to see administrations of agencies and agencies that follow the law that is passed by Congress, not just think that those things are suggestions.
You're talking about the VA chair, and did you see the recent comments that Joe Biden made on that Zoom call to the Bronze Star Democrat? Have you seen that one?
Yeah. I actually heard your comments just earlier, and that's the problem. It really is always about him. And you know what? I was very, very emotional last night when those veterans those Gold Star parents talked about the 13. I was so that the frustration as a military person that has ever been in the military, and believe me, with my job, I talked to a lot of veterans that they felt, and that the frustration and anger that they felt when we blew that Afghanistan withdrawal, and we endangered our military personnel that didn't need to be endangered. When you are a family, and I wouldn't even know, okay? I want to say this. I would not know what it's like to lose a child in a combat zone or any way, shape, or form lose a child. But I know what it was like as a father who, though had been a Marine and a Marine, but was not an active at the time, when my son went over to Afghanistan and to Iraq, I walked up with him to the TSA check station at the airport, and it was one of the worst days of my life. And to think that the biggest fear is you're always worried that they won't come home. And once that would happen, I could not imagine how a parent could feel. And that is why when talking to our Gold Star families, don't try to, if you've never experienced, don't try to go where they are. just tell them you're going to pray with them where they are, because none of us can understand unless we lose a child.
It's one of those situations. I think about this in my own life, and I'm a Christian. I have faith, and I think, wow, to think the different tests and the struggles that some of these families have gone through. Sometimes I sit there and I pray and I say, I don't know if I'm strong enough to be tested, because I see what some of these other families have gone through, and I think I don't want to find out what happens to me in a situation like that, the pain and the sorrow, and you have to sit with that on your shoulders, and those random moments where you're not thinking about it, and then you think about it. And the one thing I know, and it just tears me apart when I hear these stories about Joe Biden, he'll go to talk to some of these people and he'll make it about himself. And I think to myself, how could you do that to these families?
Yeah, sometimes as a person in authority that can actually, if you can make things better, then you want to listen and see how you can make it better. If you know that you can't make it better, quietly sit and listen, and just listen. You don't have to put your own words in there, except I'm sorry, I wish I could change it. I can't imagine what you're going through. You said that you're a person of faith, but in the scripture it says, and that's always such a misquote, but it says that God will never give us more than we can bear. No, that's not what it says. He says He doesn't give us more than that He will not be there for.
Right.
And that's the important thing. Sometimes it is more than we can bear. And
absolutely.
You wish it isn't the case. And I just, like I said, losing a loved one, as far as if it's a spouse or a child, it is, and like I said, don't be a politician when dealing with that. Be a caring human being, and understand that they're hurting. And if you're in a position, that's like with the VA. If there's an opportunity and there's a benefit or something that's out there that they're out there not getting, and I instantly say that, then I'll take them off the side or talk to them right then and go, hey, let us talk to you. We can help here. I can't fix it, but maybe I can make it a little bit easier on things that we can fix, and that's what they really need. They don't need somebody to say, well, yeah, but let me tell you how bad my life is. Or that doesn't do it, right?
Right. That's why you're the chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, because I think you understand that, and that's fantastic. On Facebook, Rep. Bost. On Twitter, @Rep. Bost. Representative Mike Bost, U.S. Congressman, Illinois 12th District. Thank you so much for joining us here in St. Louis.
Thank you for having me on, and thank you, and everybody enjoy what's going to happen tonight in this speech.
It's a big one. I think he's on stage 9 o'clock is roughly the time he'll be on. It's a big one tonight. The end of the Republican convention. Representative Mike Bost, Congressman in Illinois 12th District. So I'm Ryan Recker, filling in. Thank you. For Andy Fry, you're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
A weak White House, an invasion of illegals, and the woke mob attacking our values. That's what Phil Cristofanelli is fighting for Missouri's future. He supported sending the National Guard to secure the southern border. He defunded sanctuary cities. And Phil Cristofanelli backs the blue to keep our neighborhoods safe from gangs, fentanyl, and human traffickers. He's been named one of Missouri's most conservative legislators year after year. Cristofanelli stands up to the radical left and weak-kneed Republicans. Pro-life, he helped pass one of the nation's strongest anti-abortion laws and defunded Planned Parenthood. Pro-Second Amendment, he stood up for our gun owners and constitutional rights. And Cristofanelli is keeping men out of girls' sports and locker rooms. Phil Cristofanelli, an unwavering conservative for state senate.
Paid for by friends of Phil Cristofanelli. Dan Rakers, Treasurer.
If you have a problem with the IRS, believe me, it's not going away on its own. The IRS never gives up. They have endless resources, so they control the game. Well, your tax problems can end. I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, a local tax resolution firm with an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years. So when you hire me, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some TV pitchman that's riddled with consumer complaints. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney, you need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
Well, we've been talking about the RNC convention all week, among many, many other things, but that's what's been planned, and that's what we've been pulling some clips from. In light of everything that you've been hearing, today's poll is America's best days. Are they ahead or are they behind? So not necessarily related directly to the RNC coverage, but just how are you feeling this week? It's the YouTube live chat poll. Let us know. We'll give the results at the end of the show. 146 right now with the time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Every evening this week, the Republican National Convention is here. From 8 to 10, we're bringing you the convention plus live coverage. The Republican National Convention, every evening this week on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Ryan Wiggins, welcome back.
Thank
Hopefully you got some work done. Did you have some Reese's Pieces or some sort of Buttercups?
No, I lament that. I did have a granola bar.
Oh, okay. Not as exciting, really.
No, it's
much drier.
It looks like it's more healthy, but really when you add as much sugar as they do to those things, why don't I just eat a Snickers?
Yeah, you might as well. So we had some really great interviews there, and I really enjoyed them. But I'm going to go back to that one story on the Hill. Biden's health offers grim counter-programming to the RNC. You know, I never really considered that until this one piece that came out by Alex Gantitano, but basically says, look at the juxtaposition here. You have a bunch of energized Republicans in Milwaukee for their convention, very excited. They get to announce their vice presidential nominee, which is J.D. Vance, who's going to be running mate of Donald Trump, who gets the big speech tonight. On the counter side, you have a party that's trying to get their leader to step down, won't step down, gets COVID. And there couldn't be a bigger contrast between the two different candidates for president of the United States right now. And I think it was Van Jones. Van Jones is coming up with some good quotes lately, isn't he? He says, today is a terrible day. If you pull it back and look at this thing, strength versus weakness. A bullet couldn't stop Trump. A virus just stopped Biden. And that is the compare and contrast between the two parties. Normally, you would hope that this was happening closer to the election day. We're still pretty far out. We're like 110 days away or something like that. 109. I forgot what the exact number is. But I know anything can change between now and then. But, man, it could not look worse for the Democratic Party right now.
I'm going to ask you a question based on the news because this broke yesterday about this time. We were on the air when we heard, he's got COVID, he's going to be dropping out of events and things, and so we were reporting that. I don't know that we actually discussed this, though, which has become, of course, the topic of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Is COVID... Let's put COVID aside. Put it aside that whether he actually has COVID or not, because everybody's speculating. Everybody's speculating. Does he actually have COVID?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So let's just put that debate aside and say, regardless of whether he does or not, is this a ruse or an opportunity, whichever one, for him to step out of the public limelight and then say, this was an opportunity. Like I had to really examine my health here. So this would be step one of him moving out of the nomination? Or is it the opposite, where he's stepping out of the limelight and he gets a free 7 to 10 days here where he doesn't have to do any interviews, and then he's a week and a half closer to the nomination?
You know what? Until you said that, I never once questioned if he had COVID or not. My mind went in a different direction. My mind went, wow, what a contrast between when Donald Trump got it and now when Joe Biden has got it. When Donald Trump got it, people were like celebrating. This is what you get, the type of, they were like happy in a way. It was actually really sad. And he came back and, we can go back and revisit this later. But to go back to your other question, I think that he's bitter. He's an old man and he's stubborn. He just doesn't want to step aside. I don't think this is them trying to transition him out like it's some sort of planned, we're going to try to script this in a way that is logical and a way that people will buy it. I don't think that's the case. I just think that he honestly probably got COVID and he's continuing to do these interviews, and the interviews are not flattering to him. They're exactly how you think they would go, and people aren't liking him anymore. So it's not going to hurt him being away. In fact, he's going to go back to the basement strategy that he took back in this 2020 election that, seemed to work out for him in some ways.
I'm looking at the calendar here. If he does, let's say he quarantines for 7 days, or you could go even further and go to 10. I don't even know what the protocols are because I thought he was vaccinated. I didn't know you could get COVID when you were vaccinated, and I know he is. But apparently you can. I didn't know that. I'm not a doctor. But let's say that he does use this full quarantine, which he will. He's not going to do interviews for the next week. I don't think you see him pretty much the entire Monday through Friday of next week, nor the end of this week, obviously. That means that he gets all the way through July 29th before he may even start doing this again.
Wow.
So that is an amazing free pass for him. And he really, now you said this earlier, that it had been that they were going to do this nominating virtually at the beginning of August, which was August 7th or something like that. If that were the case, then you're literally only about a week out from that nomination.
Right. So now that puts them, the Democrats in a really tough spot. So essentially, they're thinking to themselves, we got to really work on him and chip away this idea that it's best for him, like to plant this idea into his mind that you can be a statesman and step aside and do the service to your country by stepping aside. And of course, do the service to your party, which is really what they really mean by that. They don't, I think, care about the other thing. But now, if he is in quarantine protocol, they're not going to get to him. They're going to have 10 or 7 days less to chip away at him, and he's going to come back probably feeling a little bit more refreshed, giving him the false hope that he really doesn't need to step aside. This may actually be a really bad thing for the ones that are trying to convince him to step aside. This is going to be really difficult for them to change his mind now.
And it controls the messaging too. People could still text him, but nobody's going to be meeting with him. He's going to be completely isolated with probably just Jill, the only one talking to him for the next week.
Yeah, well, he takes like 3 or 4 day weekends anyway, where no one talks to him. So, it's like basically a double weekend for him.
Yeah, very true. But still, no interviews, no nothing. And so, I really do believe that this is, regardless of whether COVID or whatever it is, this is an opportunity for him, or a plan for him, whichever way you want to look at it, for him to step out. And this is the opposite. So this is like right-wing Twitter has been saying, oh, this is him getting ready to step down. And I really think it's the opposite. This is him hunkering down, and really everybody around him hunkering down around him to say, no. He's fine. He just has to get through this next week or so, and then he'll get back on the campaign trail, and then it'll be really too late to do anything about it.
Yeah, I think his campaign has said they're mild symptoms, and he's not stepping down. Like, those are the only things that they've said by this.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, he's 81, 81. Has he turned 81 yet? I get it mixed up sometimes.
I think it's November that he turns 82.
Oh, 82. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Not good at that age. Anyone that age getting COVID. That's a terrible thing, because the older you are, the harder it is to shake off. I mean, anything could happen between now and then, but he does have the world's best doctors working on him, which is a good thing, but still not a great thing to have to battle. So to say this quarantine lasts 7 days, it could very last longer.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
And you know what? Who knows? Maybe while he's on the beach, he says, is this really worth it? Maybe that's how he has his change of heart. I doubt it. Again, he's old and stubborn and does not want to give that power up that he worked for, quote unquote. So I think the Democrats have just pretty much now realized they just locked in Joe Biden, because there's nothing they can do unless they do it by force against his will, which they don't want to do.
Yeah, here's the
They're
couple
in
headlines you're referring to. Biden tests positive for COVID, cancels events amid symptoms. White House says Biden unmoved by discussions with Schumer and Jeffries. And then Biden campaign sees no change in odds of him being nominee. So I think you and I are in the minority, because a lot of people are saying, no, this is how he starts to step out, but I don't think so.
I wonder if he got it here in Detroit. He was just here on Friday, possibly. I think there's a chance that it happened there. Who knows? All right, we got another hour of the Annie Fry Show. If you want to hop online real quick, the YouTube live chat poll, America's Best Days Ahead or Behind Us. Got some more time to do that. You can find me online, Ryan Recker Radio, at Ryan Recker on Twitter. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
They're pounding on the door. They're calling on the phone. They're threatening to close your business. If debt has your business on the brink, call Ray Reynolds, the godfather of credit. For over 40 years, Ray Reynolds has helped thousands of customers get millions in cash credit. It's no wonder why they call Ray the godfather of credit. He may even be able to raise your score above 750 before the end of the year. You could even get a new personal or business credit line up to $50,000 within days. If your credit needs a rebuild, call Ray Reynolds and receive a $1,000 cash credit card at closing. Raise your credit score to 750 or more. Call Ray Reynolds at 800-576-2295. 800-576-2295. Learn about Ray's secrets to success and how he can fix and improve your credit score to 750 or more. Call the godfather of credit rebuild, Ray Reynolds, at 800-576-2295. 800-576-2295.
The weather report today is hot. So I hope all your everybody's air conditioning is cooling the best it can. Now, don't fret if it's 100 degrees outside and you have your thermostat set for 65 and it's not pulling it down to 65. That's not the air conditioner. That's just your house incapable. It's not insulated enough. It just can't handle that kind of heat being pulled into your house. But if you, at 100 degrees, it's not cooling it, below 80 for 2 days in a row, or if it's real humid and muggy, that is a sign that you're either having a problem like a window or doors left open, or your air conditioning is failing on you. So if that happens to be you, call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It is 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, BartInman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
At Hampton Manor of Wentzville, they go the extra step to make sure their residents feel special. Mark Cox here for my friends at Hampton Manor. I recently stopped by there. Their veterans are celebrated with special recognitions, including special pastries created by their pastry chef. They have their own private chef. They'll even feed you lunch if you stop by for a visit at this great senior living community off the Lake St. Louis exit at Highway 70. Schedule your appointment today at WentzvilleAssistedLiving.com.
Do you worry about running out of money in retirement? Discover how you can make your money last as long as you do with Your Retirement Professors, Sunday evening at 6 on KFTK. 97.1 FM Talk.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special, only $49.99. Seminars Wednesday, August 14th at the 4 Points by Sheraton, St. Louis, Fairview Heights. In Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
110 days until the election. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Vice President Kamala Harris counting down at a campaign event in North Carolina.
Nearly every time we will say, this is the one. Well, this here is the one. The most existential, consequential, an important election of our lifetime.
Also telling the crowd in Fayetteville that former President Trump's running mate pick, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, was aimed at distraction and trying to convince people they will prioritize the middle class.
But we are not buying it. We are not falling for the okie doke.
She's on the road while President Biden remains in isolation with COVID at his beach house in Delaware. His doctor says the symptoms are mild and he's still conducting business. He also remains under pressure from fellow Democrats.
He's getting no help from Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, or Hakeem Jeffries. None of them are denying these reports that they are urging the president privately to drop out. Now Barack Obama is reportedly putting out the word that Biden may not be viable.
Fox's Peter Doocy in Rehoboth Beach. The Biden campaign says there are no plans in the works for someone else to be at the top of the ticket. Former President Trump will close out the Republican National Convention tonight, accepting his third nomination for president just days after surviving an assassination attempt.
Tens of thousands of people are here to hear the president's acceptance speech, completely rewritten, that we're told will not focus on President Biden, but instead unifying our country. Other speakers expected Eric Trump, Hulk Hogan, and UFC President Dana White.
Fox's Jeff Bonasso at the convention in Milwaukee. More of President Biden's student debt relief has just been blocked by a federal appeals court, granting a request by 7 Republican-led states to put on hold parts of the loan relief that were not already blocked by a lower court judge. America is listening to Fox News.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
No complaints about our weather, not only this afternoon, but right through the weekend. Sunshine in control today, 81 for the high. Tonight, clear skies. For evening plans, think temperatures in the upper 70s. 59 for the low. On Friday, sunny, delightful, 81. Saturday, partly to mostly sunny, 83, and Sunday, 83 and partly sunny skies. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
So you've decided that you need those replacement windows. Where do you start this process? And how do you know that you're getting a great deal? I want to encourage you to check out Window World online at windowworld.com or by a simple phone call, 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Give them a call, ask them any questions that you might have, and get your free in-home estimate. Again, on windowworld.com, they are going to do everything they can to make the system and the situation as simple as they can for you and offer you a great deal to make sure that you can finance the entire project that you need to get done. That's why they're offering right now, which is unprecedented for them, up to 36 months, same as cash financing. They understand right now everything's costing a lot more, and they want to make the project that you still need to do in your house affordable. They trust in the windows that they sell, and they are backing it up with a lifetime warranty for glass breakage, parts, and labor with the great windows that are simply the best for less from Window World. 314-993-1800, online at windowworld.com.
If you're thinking of selling your home, I'm sure there are two things you want: certainty and the most money, right? Hi, it's Mark Cox, and if you've been listening to me for some time, you know the only agent I trust is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis real estate expert. Here's why she should be your first and only call when looking for an agent. Gloria doesn't make empty promises. No, she provides written guarantees. Now, what does this mean for you? Certainty. Now, certainty isn't the only thing you want. You also want the most money. Gloria is able to get her home sellers more money than the average agent because she already has the buyers. This is why Gloria will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she'll buy it. To get your guaranteed price, call St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Hey homeowners, it's time to transform your house into a masterpiece with Lakeside Renovation and Design, your James Hardie siding experts. Picture this: durable, weather-resistant siding that doesn't just protect, but elevates your home's value and curb appeal. James Hardie, the gold standard in siding, installed by the pros at Lakeside. Say goodbye to maintenance headaches and hello to a home that stands the test of time. Ready for a siding upgrade? Lakeside Renovation and Design is your go-to. Visit our showroom or call today. Unleash the potential of your home with James Hardie Siding.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
We're here to help you get registered to vote, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois. Democracy 2024 on 97.1 FM Talk. If you need help getting registered, go to 971talk.com/vote.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Ricker, filling in for Annie Fry. Another hour here today. And Ryan Wiggins, I sent you that photo of Chris Christie.
Oh, yeah, I got that earlier. Thank you. I don't know. I've never seen that before.
This is old. This goes back to, I don't know, 2015 maybe or something, 16. Can't 12. But basically, he's taking a smaller bag of M&Ms and dumping them into a bigger bag of M&Ms. He said it was for convenience. That's just funny. Well, that's a true power move. Now, Wiggins, you're a candy aficionado. Would you ever do something like that?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I probably have done something like that.
Probably have done something. I heard something on Fox News at the top of the hour there. So Barack Obama is now saying, hey, Joe, it might be better for you to quit the race. That's a surprise to me.
Well, that is a surprise that it's public, because I'm seeing the same thing on Fox News. Well, they were reporting it on the TV too, but online it says Obama reportedly tells allies Biden needs to consider running again. So that's the thing. He's not necessarily coming out and making a statement, but the reports are that he's talking to everybody around Biden.
So this is what TMZ is reporting. Barack Obama thinks President Joe Biden's chances of a second term are fading fast, and he should drop out of the race. But interestingly, he's not saying it to his face. Washington Post reports Obama's been telling allies his former VP needs to step aside, just like a lot of celebrities do now.
You know what's amazing is that we've all seen the decline of Biden's mental capacity and mental state over the last 4 years. It wasn't as if nobody thought this was an issue before 2020. They did. You saw that Hunter Biden mentioned it in his famous laptop emails in 2018. And so it probably goes back even further than that. So we're in the late stages, really, of either Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever he has. You know, they're very, very closed door about all of the diagnoses and things. But what's incredible is that at this moment in politics, in this moment in American history, it's not just that the man is having a difficult time doing normal functions as president of the United States, especially. It's that his entire party has now doomed him to failure by calling for his removal. So it's not just what we see. It's the narrative around him has also changed. And now he's fighting not just the cognitive decline, he's fighting every single person in his party. And it's got to be almost impossible for the man to win the presidency now.
Yep. Just for the sake of time, we did this at the start of the show, but I want to do it again. J.D. Vance was on the stage, and I know that a lot of times listeners are not here for the full, 3 hours. But there's a couple of moments from J.D. Vance's speech last night I think are important to play again. And there's one particular story about his grandmother who took great care of him, including watching over him when he was getting mixed up with the wrong crowd. So you think, can we play that moment from last night again?
Joe Biden screwed up, and my community paid the price. Now, I was lucky. Despite the closing factories and the growing addiction in towns like mine, in my life, I had a guardian angel by my side. She was an old woman who could barely walk, but she was tough as nails. I called her Mamaw, the name we hillbillies gave to our grandmothers. Mamaw raised me as my mother struggled with addiction. Mamaw was in so many ways a woman of contradiction. She loved the Lord, ladies and gentlemen. She was a woman of very deep Christian faith. But she also loved the F word. I'm not kidding. She could make a sailor blush. Now, she once told me, when she found out that I was spending too much time with a local kid who was known for dealing drugs, that if I ever hung out with that kid again, she would run him over with her car. That's true. And she said, JD, no one will ever find out about it.
There's some moments like that in the crowd just went crazy. But last night, his speech as the nominee that is running with Donald Trump as his running mate is him as a vice president. If he kind of keeps that same tone and, hey, me as a former hillbilly, I think some of the contradictions, of course, when you're a politician, you don't like other candidates to point out that you're well educated. Oh, you went to Yale. Oh, you went to Harvard. It makes you sound elite and you're not one of them. I think he plays it off good because he's like, hey, I'm a hillbilly. And, that's the identity. Here's my grandma who threatened to run down someone that I shouldn't have been hanging out with. And when she died, we find out more about, what did you say? Mama is our ma?
Meemaw?
Meemaw. Ethan, we can play that one about what happened after J.D. Vance, his grandma, passed away, and the story there is also very good.
Now, my mamaw died shortly before I left for Iraq in 2005. And when we went through her things, we found 19 loaded handguns. Now, the thing is, they were stashed all over her house, under her bed, in her closet, in the silverware drawer. And we wondered what was going on. And it occurred to us that towards the end of her life, Mamaw couldn't get around so well. And so this frail old woman made sure that no matter where she was within arm's length of whatever she needed to protect her family. That's who we fight for. That's American spirit.
Oh, that's something else. I love it. So that's the speech he gave. So much different than a lot of the other speeches you'll see. I'm curious what would the equivalent be during the Democratic convention. What will the equivalent be? Because they try so hard to sound relatable, but they also sound so phony. Like the fake detector goes off and you can hear it beeping in the background as loud as it can beep. And it seems like that is a lot of the Democratic speeches. He just seemed authentic in the way he brought it. So, good for him. I think that's going to be a good running mate. And I'm actually excited to see the vice president, the debates, maybe one of the first times I've actually cared about the vice president debate too, coming up.
Oh yeah. I actually love the vice presidential debates. Was it Paul Ryan versus Joe Biden? Everybody thought that was just going to be an absolute shellacking, and it wasn't. Biden actually did fairly well in that vice presidential debate. Who was the last one? It was Mike Pence and Kamala Harris. And those are weird because the entire point of a vice president usually is to reflect, reflect light like the moon. Like you're just basically reflecting the spotlight back onto the candidate. That's your job, and to kind of defend the positions. And so it's strange watching vice presidential debates because they don't talk about themselves and their policies. They keep referring back to the candidates. So it does feel like a little bit like, this is the JV team,
Yeah. So here was the AP story. Vice President Kamala Harris and Republican J.D. Vance on Tuesday had their first chat since the Ohio senator became the GOP vice presidential nominee. But the two sides are still working on terms for the debate. And Harris has agreed to a debate on CBS News on either July 23rd or August 13th. We could see a debate as fast as next Tuesday. Look how quick they'll turn that around. I'm guessing they're not going to do it there because they're still trying to convince Joe Biden to get out of the race. They're probably going to have to wait a little bit. Maybe, Harris will be preparing to take the reins over. Who knows? Would that be something? What if Joe Biden says, I'm just going to step down now and she becomes the actual president? Wouldn't that be a way to steal some of the thunder there, maybe?
Yeah, what was it? Can you repeat the dates that they said that they were looking at?
July 23rd or August 13th. So as
July
soon as
23rd.
Next Tuesday. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks would be the 13th, roughly. Wow. Could you imagine that quick?
They have to wait until after the nomination. They can't do that now. I mean, unless that's Kamala's angle that she's saying, I want to get this in as soon as possible so that people can see the difference between me and the president right now, and maybe it'd reflect well on her,
Maybe CBS News, who's hosting this debate, came up with these dates a while ago without knowing what was going to happen. And these were just the ones they were sticking with, waiting to find out who that running mate was going to be for Donald Trump. But, who knows? Maybe someone else steps in there. Maybe there's a different vice president if Joe Biden's down. I really think he's going to stick it till the end. I think he's going to lose. And who knows what happens? Maybe he'll wait until Inauguration Day. But, there's still, I think, if you were to look at Vegas odds, I don't think you can vote on politics legally in Vegas, but you can do it offshore. There's probably odds that he'll step down before the end of his first term. And the truth be told, going back to the last election, I honestly believe he wouldn't make it through this first term. I'm shocked that he's been able to make it as far as he has. But then again, they've done a great job at hiding his condition for as long as they have. Most people were able to see it anytime he made a public appearance, but now the general public 100% knows what's going on. There's no more denying it. Go ahead.
I wonder what your definition, though, of make it through his first term is, because I think we're seeing the entire party. The Republican Party has said it for a long time, but it's the Democrat Party now saying the man's not fit. He can't serve. And so I did not expect this to happen. I mean, these are things that we've talked about here on the Andy Fry Show for years, just like you're saying. From the time he got into office, you started to question, has he got all the marbles, And you've seen them slipping away slowly over the last couple of years. And so we constantly have that discussion. Is he going to be the nominee? And I've stuck with him the whole time saying, I think he is. I think he is. But this would be, and this is why I don't usually do this, I usually don't bet on a black swan event to happen. Like people, I remember at the beginning of COVID, them saying, oh, they're going to shut this and that down. I'm like, oh, they can't shut down all the schools. Are you kidding me? They can't do this and that. So I have been wrong, but I usually don't bet on events that are so unlikely that they really almost never happen. This would be one of those, So I'm betting on the odds, and so far have been proved right. We'll see. But it has gotten to that point where you're almost at the precipice of a black swan event.
Right. There's another article, and we got a couple minutes here, and I wanted to bring this up to you and put you on the spot, because it's fun to put people on the spot.
Sure.
So there's an opinion piece in the education section of The Hill. It's a GOP education platform, big on parents' rights, short on details. And essentially, they talk about some of the different positions that a lot of politicians take, mostly Republican politicians, when it comes to some of the inappropriate material that is pushed inside of schools and some of the inappropriate, situations that we're putting these kids into. And the parental rights side of it is pretty well known, meaning that you as a parent absolutely should have the sole decision-making on what happens to your minor child. The school shouldn't be hiding these things from you. On top of that, there's other things that are inside of the school district that shouldn't be hidden from the parents that may be taught. Some reading materials, and beyond that, quite frankly, pornographic things that have been put inside of these schools and presented to these minors, these children, while trying to hide, again, from parents. So the parental right thing is very important. So they talk about the convention. They talk about this as a big talking point during a lot of the different speakers, the education and parental rights side of it. But they're saying that despite all of that, it's short on details, meaning the enforcement and the actual planning side of how they would incorporate these things in schools are actually lacking. So it may be good to say it, but in reality, the Republicans aren't backing it up. Do you agree with that? Do you think that there's no plan behind what the Republicans want? It's just hey, this is what should be done, and we're just lacking a actual physical plan?
Well, first of all, I'm fine with that criticism because that is something that would sharpen Republicans up if they aren't ready for that on the local level, especially. But no, I don't actually agree with the criticism. If you look at what Ron DeSantis has done in Florida, for instance, he's had teeth behind everything that he's done and enforced it. Now, you can question whether or not it's gone as well as he hoped, but that's the nature of anything that's kind of cutting edge is, school choice. These are things that are related, that when you pass new laws and you try new things, sometimes they don't work the exact way that you'd hoped, but the overall of it is still worth trying. And that's where I think a lot of these things is, I hate to use the word progressive, but it's very progressive movements within the Republican Party to do these kind of big social movement changes. They're using the power of government to do it. That has not been typically the case for Republicans in the past. And so there's going to be some growing pains, but overall, I think it's been successful.
There's something else they post in this, and I think it kind of contradicts and undercuts the whole theory, but it's always like at the very bottom. So this is like at the very bottom of the article. Oh, no. I would say it's about 2/3 down, not the very bottom. It says House Republicans passed a National Parental Bill of Rights in 2023, but it didn't move in the Democratic Senate and unlikely to be signed by President Biden. So wouldn't that basically undercut their whole argument, saying that, hey, there was something on the federal side, gave control for these local districts to keep out inappropriate material without them getting backlash or whatnot. And one of the other things that they mentioned in this article is the things that they don't agree on. Sometimes they say they should cut funding in order to make this more appropriate. Maybe it's oversight, parental oversight, committees, maybe putting the hands into, librarians, whatever it is, or having a board on the state determine what's appropriate, what's not for each school district. That's where I think they say the confusion comes into it. But either way, as long as they're doing something to protect these kids, I don't know if there's I think you can try different ways and see what works best.
Yeah, absolutely. And it needs to be tried, because somebody has to do something. This is something that you've seen Americans, left and right. Now, naturally, the right is more supportive of it, but there are many on the left that are very supportive of these things. It's how you win elections with Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. This is how Republicans swept those offices in 2021, I believe, in off-year elections, is because of issues like this. They are popular with Americans. They need to be done.
Yep. All right. When we come back, a couple of things. I saw tech giants are now feuding with the European Union, and there's a celebrity feud I can get behind. And maybe I'm not big into celebrity news, but when I read this one, I said, yeah, I'm actually going to be engaged in this celebrity feud. I want to see who wins this one, which will be coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Renker, filling in for Andy Fry. Don't forget to go online to our YouTube page. The live chat poll today, America's Best Days, ahead or behind. That result will be coming up at the end of this hour, too. 97.1 FM Talk.
In a big black chair with a bedroom in it. Gonna join the Mile High Club at 37,000 feet.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
I want a new tour bus full of old
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Between Cher and James Dean is fine for me. So how you gonna do it? I'm gonna
At the Diamond Shop, you get to enjoy 6 months, same as cash, on a beautiful piece of jewelry that you've been thinking about, searching out, looking to give somebody special right now. If you go to thediamondshop.net, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and you can sign up to become a VIP. It's going to get you VIP savings as well. I appreciate the Diamond Shop for a company, for a little business, small, privately owned business that's been in St. Louis since 1910. You got to think they're doing something right there, and they are. I enjoy all of the pieces that I have from the Diamond Shop, and I really enjoy getting to see that bright red bag, beautiful bag with something even more beautiful inside of it. You will get the guidance that you need at the Diamond Shop if you know what you want, whereabouts, and you're trying to look at how do I get this that fits in my budget? How do I, maybe you need to get something and you don't even know where to start. They can help you with that as well. If you're very well versed in jewelry, you're going to enjoy the great quality of what they have there in the shop. Visit them online at thediamondshop.net.
Summer is here, which means pool days, beach trips, and yeah, you guessed it, traffic jams. Oh yeah, and heat waves. Don't let summer catch you by surprise. Get the local news you need, no matter what you're up to, with the free Odyssey app, and never miss a beat with alerts on breaking stories sent directly to your phone. Listen today on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the Protecting Your Retirement Educational event, Tuesday, August 6th. It's at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. Seats are limited, so go online at retirementkey.com. Here's Thomas and Bob with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering what to do with your life savings? Are you concerned how a major market correction will affect your retirement? Would you like to have a personalized, structured income plan that shows you the monthly income you'll receive in retirement and how to never outlive it?
Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any more losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Tuesday, August 6th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Just imagine being walked all over for 36 years. Who would do that? The great customers of Reinhold Flooring, that's who. For over 3.5 decades, Reinhold Flooring has been the mecca for carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminate, and area rugs. Reinhold Flooring is customer-driven with a focus on top-quality products and installations from the best team in the business. So come on in and walk all over your next flooring at Reinhold Flooring. Visit them at 5429 Telegraph Road in St. Louis or online at reinholdflooring.com.
If you have a problem with the IRS, believe me, it's not going away on its own. The IRS never gives up. They have endless resources, so they control the game. Well, your tax problems can end. I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, a local tax resolution firm with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years. So when you hire me, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some TV pitchman that's riddled with consumer complaints. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney, you need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you're not sure who to call for air conditioning services, contact the team at Air Comfort Service. With 55 years of experience and thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust them with the comfort of your home. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
If you use a smart speaker, you can listen to 97.1 easier than ever. Just tell it to play 97.1 FM Talk. Or download the Odyssey app for your phone and stream the station whenever, wherever.
I see your dirty face, hide behind your collar. What is done in vain? Truth is hard to swallow, so you pray to God to justify the way you live a lie.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker filling in. And do we want to start Celebrity Feud or do we want to start with a different topic? The Celebrity Feud I'm so interested in, but it's not the most important story. Doesn't matter at this point. Do we need a good Celebrity
I
Feud?
mean, at this point, I kind of want to know what it is. You know, you seem pretty interested in it, so I want to know now.
I'm gonna read you an Instagram post. I'm not gonna tell you who wrote it. Maybe you can guess who it was. And I don't have Instagram, so I have to rely on what's written in this article. Here's what the Instagram post says. Have you guys ever seen the movie Serendipity with Kate Beckinsale? Well, let me tell you, if you haven't, you definitely should. I adore Kate Beckinsale, especially because she's from London. I realize how incredibly cruel people are. Talking about her IG saying she needs more age-appropriate content. She's in her 50s, and I thought it was pretty bad blank how she responded with a mini bow in her hair, looking literally 4 years old, as not as bad as some of my comments saying it's just sad that I'm old as I am, and I'm dancing every single day on Instagram. Number one, I hardly ever dance, and number two, and that's where it cuts it off because I don't have Instagram. I can't read the rest. It's a long post. Now, do you want to guess the celebrity that was upset about when people criticize you for dancing on social media?
No. I mean, I can't even think of anybody other than the Me Too guy.
Britney Spears.
Oh,
was
Britney
upset.
Spears.
And the person that called her out for posting all these stupid dance videos was Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
So Ozzy is like, you're old, you're stupid for dancing naked on Instagram, cut it out. Britney's like, shut up, haven't you seen Kate Beckinsale? She looks great doing it, and so do I. That's her response. And I'm thinking, yes, give me the popcorn. I want to see Ozzy rip Britney Spears apart further. That is a Celebrity Feud I can get invested in, honestly.
Well, the feud is one thing. It's when they do the reunion tour that I'm interested to see how they mash those two artists together for the next Lollapalooza or whatever.
You think that I don't think any of them can perform live anymore. I don't know if you follow Britney Spears or some of the saga and the problems with her, but essentially she posts these videos online, or she'll post either semi-nude photos or whatever it is online. And she'll be doing these videos where she's dancing with knives. And the thing is, after she went through this Free Britney stage where a bunch of people thought she was being held captive, later we find out, no, the reason why her dad and mom, or I guess mostly her dad, was concerned about her is because she's really mentally ill and she can't take care of herself. She doesn't act like an adult. She acts like a child and she could very easily harm herself. By the way, that's what all the courts found out about this whole case. They all sided with the dad, but the dad was so tired of all the pressures that came with it because of her fan base that she's like, whatever, go ruin your life and I'll just be done with it. So Britney Spears continues to ruin her life on social media. Ozzy Osbourne's like, you got to stop acting like a child dancing on here all the time. You look crazy. And Britney Spears took exception to it. Honestly, I just want to see how this plays out. So I'm very rarely engaged in celebrity gossip, but this one got me going.
Wow. I'm now more informed about the Britney Spears Free Britney movement than I was 5 minutes ago because I knew that it existed. I knew that it was out there. But I did not know the thing about the dad. That's very interesting that he was actually going to win. No, I knew the conservatism thing, whatever that is. But I did not know that he was going to win that case and decided to just hand it over anyway. I did not know that.
Oh yeah, and all the sign and the reason you can know that they were going to win because she continued to fight him in court, saying that oh, he was stealing my money, oh, he was doing this, he was doing that, and he kept going in front of the judge, and the judge kept siding with the dad over and over and over again. So Britney Spears has racked up millions of dollars in legal fees that she now owes her lawyer, which she at last check hasn't paid, and the dad's like, okay, because he's won these things, she has to pay his legal fees too and all these things. And she's just so bitter from all of it. But nonetheless, all this drama set aside, I'm glad Ozzy Osbourne's still around. Remember that reality show when it finally hit TV? What a big deal that was. Has there been a reality show that big where people were just so engaged in it? I don't remember the last time I've actually cared to watch a reality show besides that one.
Well, you and I have not cared, but there is a huge portion of America that has been very engaged, and I use the word intentionally, with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette for a long, long time. I hate those shows. I can't stand those shows. but they are super popular. I don't know if they still today are, but as of just recently, I know they were.
You know, my wife watches that, and she says, "Don't ever tell people on air that I watch it because I'm embarrassed for watching it."
Every woman does this. My wife, I think, has probably said the same thing to me, although she's gotten to the point where she doesn't even tell me that she's watching it. I think it's that embarrassing.
Yep, she says, "Don't tell anyone that I watch it. I don't want people to know I watch it. Don't say it on air." She specifically tells me, "Don't say it on air." And I said, "Honey, I'm going to absolutely say it on air now." There's no denying it. By the way, tech companies continue to fight other countries. Was it Australia where essentially the country made a law which said if you're going to steal a bunch of news agencies' content, you're going to have to pay them for it? So, like Facebook said, fine, we won't post news in Australia anymore. So, tech giants are now upping the ante when it comes to withholding products in the European Union. And part of it is the United States. They don't necessarily always adopt what happens in the European Union. They have much more consumer-friendly policies, meaning that if you're an individual, it's going to be impossible for you to go up against a Facebook or whatever these big tech companies are. You'll never win against them in the United States. But in Europe, you actually have basically digital rights to yourself. So they are on your side as a person against these big tech companies. I actually think that's a good thing. I actually like the idea that you have some control over how you are on these. If you want the right to disappear, you have the right to do that. And then also you have a right to petition these companies, which really goes nowhere here in the United States. So in Europe, basically US tech giants have dominated globally, and some countries started to fight back. And when they do fight back, they normally pull back. And it looks like they're pulling back more services in places like the European Union. Do you think tech companies will ever get the pushback here in the United States? Because Democrats and Republicans, that's something they seem to both agree on. They have way too much power. But guess what happens after that? All of a sudden, the politicians' pockets are lined with cash, and then they stop talking about it.
Yeah, I don't think anything serious. I mean, unless you get really ideological people in there, which for the most part you don't. You get people who are, somewhat, and then you have a bunch of middle people. And this is a weird one because you have the super progressives, like the far left and the far right, in a lot of senses, agreeing on the fact that social media has become way, way too powerful. And so I think that's why you do see the hearings. You see Zuckerberg and whoever called in for hearings, probably because of those factions, but nothing's really going to happen until you get all America First MAGA people or all super left progressives controlling chambers of Congress with the president.
They just like big tech for different reasons, but they both can agree they don't like them. So if you're on the right, you look at how they suppressed information for as long as they did, and they did it in a way to try to prop up and push further the candidate that they supported in Joe Biden. They suppressed information against Donald Trump, or they over-amplified all the negative stuff against him. And you look at the what they did to regular individuals that were trying to post things, including news agencies like the New York Post, and suppressing that sort of information from getting out there. I think a lot of times Republicans will look and point to that when it comes to tech companies, plus all the problems that you run into with privacy and all the information they've gathered about you. Very concerning for a lot of different people, and how that could be used against you, how your private information is being sold, stolen all the time. Now, on the left side, you find the reason they don't like social media is because they say it's basically giving unrealistic expectations for young girls who are then looking at it and it's killing their mental health. So they're more upset about the exploitation of children on these social media platforms and the way that they are being used as a product. And this dump of content is just going straight into their brain and rotting it. That's what they don't like about it. And once in a while, Republicans and Democrats can look at each other and they're like, yeah, they are the baddies. We don't like them. You don't like them. How about that? But you know what? They've come together so many times and nothing has ever happened about it, which leads me to believe they are just so powerful that politicians realize that it would be the end of them if they decide, maybe even Boeing them, that if they decided to call out some of these tech companies.
It's really amazing how much Elon Musk has played a role in American politics without ever, until now, donating apparently to American politics, although he's going to get involved $45 million a month donated to a Trump
Yeah.
super PAC. That is a huge change. But can you imagine him not having bought Twitter? We wouldn't know. We would have felt it. We would have known in our gut that it was true, but we wouldn't have been able to prove it the way that we have in the last 3 years.
Yeah, here's the main difference on the news event that happened Saturday with the failed assassination attempt. On Twitter, you found there were shots at the rally. The president he got up, he had bloody ear. We think the president was shot, but he got off on his own and fist pumped, and you got to see the picture and all that stuff. You got all of this real time, and you're able to look up this information from people that were responding to it because they were watching either the live feed or they were there. If you didn't have Twitter, the headline you would have received was Donald Trump falls at rally, escorted off stage by Secret Service. That's the headline you would have received and the impression you would have got from that event on Saturday, if not for Twitter. I think that is a huge contrast in the flaws that we run into when social media companies like Facebook or any of these other ones, or, we'll throw in these news agencies that propagate on these too. What you run into is the flaws of them reporting it in a certain way, and that is what's being amplified. Luckily, there was a Twitter out there, and people got what happened quicker, so they didn't jump to this conclusion that he tripped or something like that. Just absolutely perfect illustration of that.
And because of Twitter, the mainstream news organizations are being pushed to address what is being already said there. So you can say, oh, well, they got it right quickly. Well, part of the reason they got it right quickly, within an hour or two, they were changing those headlines to more reflect gunfire and things, even if they weren't saying assassination attempt, is because of Twitter and because you have people out there yelling, what are you doing, in a very, very loud way. If Twitter had been owned by the same company, if Elon Musk had not bought it, this assassination attempt, let's say all things being the same, this would have been stifled. This would have been, no, you can't share conspiracy theories. None of those things are true. You've been community noted. You've been throttled. That would still be happening today, and the mainstream news would not be pushed in the same way that they are.
Yep. All right, we got one more segment, and there's still some time to vote in the poll. Wiggins, what's the YouTube live poll today?
Very simple. America's best days. Are they ahead or are they behind? But let us know what you think. We'll give you the results soon.
Let's give it a shot. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Andy Fry. One more segment here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
So many people today are just piling up credit card debt. Everything costs more. I understand that completely. With a family of 6, that just every expense hits you differently than it did a few years ago. With that, as credit card debt does pile up, maybe it's time to consider a bagel loan refinance. Stewart's American Mortgage, 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440. Stewie is going to help you. He's going to put you at ease. That credit card debt that is looming large over you every day, you're thinking about it, it's pressuring you, get rid of it and do it with a bagel loan with Stewart's American Mortgage. It's a smart move. And when you talk to Stewie and you explain him, be honest with him, he is there. He's in your corner. He's going to help you. You are going to understand how the bagel loan refinance, where you pay no closing costs whatsoever, can really be a game changer in your financial situation. Start the conversation. 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Hey, St. Louis, are you in search of top-notch cybersecurity solutions? Look no further. ThrottleNet is here to help. Ransomware attacks are on the rise, putting businesses like yours at risk. Don't let cyber criminals jeopardize your hard-earned success. ThrottleNet provides comprehensive cybersecurity services tailored specifically to your unique needs. Our award-winning customer service provides 24/7 protection to keep your data safe and secure. Take charge of your digital security today. Protect your business, protect your future. ThrottleNet.com, your reliable partner in cybersecurity.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, VH1, TLC, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. And with up to 3 streams at once, you'll never have to fight about what to watch. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows, and save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR, so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere, for up to to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC Plus. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's PHILO.tv.
Joe Biden and the radical left opened our borders. They sent border wall materials to the scrapyard and let in more than 7 million illegal immigrants. Why? They think they're importing future Democrat voters, changing our elections forever. Mary Elizabeth Coleman is fighting back. She's a conservative mom on a mission, running for Secretary of State to save the integrity of our elections. Here's Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
There are 77,000 illegals in Missouri. This isn't just an invasion, it's an occupation. I'm Mary Elizabeth Coleman, and I'm running for Secretary of State to save the sanctity of your vote and mine. I'll fight election fraud and ballot harvesting, and I will never let illegal immigrants dilute your vote. And I will stand up to the woke radicals who want to censor our speech, persecute people of faith, and repeal our Second Amendment rights. I'm Mary Elizabeth Coleman, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Friends of Mary Elizabeth Coleman.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
Trump's first big address to the nation since the assassination attempt on his life on Saturday is happening tonight. We are covering it live. Starting at 8 o'clock, it's the last night of the Republican National Convention. Tune in right here on 97.1. 2:45, it is 2:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
The Andy Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
You want a fun fact about Kiss?
Yeah.
Fun fact. One of the most highly collectible comic books is an old Kiss comic book because the gimmick in that one edition they put out was, I think they took Gene Simmons' blood, mixed it with the red ink, and then used that to print the red in the comic book. So it's like little parts of Kiss DNA are actually printed onto the comic book.
All of them?
If you have one of those, the one episode or whatever they use to print, the one edition of that one comic book. Not all of them, like not every one in the series. It was just like one specific, was it edition? I don't know what you'd call it. So
Okay, I looked it up. It says blood from each band member was drawn by a registered nurse, witnessed by a notary public, and poured into vats of red ink used for printing the comic.
Yeah, that one comic. Not like the whole series of comics, but just that one comic. And then they printed up as many as they would print, and each of them had that little red ink in it. Isn't that something? So if you have that one, it's pretty collectible, the Kiss Blood episode. Just a fun thing. I heard Kiss there, and I thought, let's share that today with the audience. All right. If you are on YouTube, then you had a chance to vote in the latest poll. Wiggins, what was the poll again?
Yeah, the poll is America's best days. Are they ahead or are they behind?
So how did this one break down?
Very simply, you want to take a guess? I mean, and how do you answer this question?
They're behind us. That's what I say.
I hate to say that, which is why I didn't. I voted ahead. I was too depressed to vote behind us. I voted ahead simply because I don't know even what this will mean, but I still think God has plans for the United States of America, and I'm going to say that in faith. That is actually what is winning right now.
Best days are ahead?
Best days are ahead. 68% say best days are ahead. 32% say best days are behind, but there's been some really good, thoughtful comments about this. Betsy says, hopefully, I agree, it's ahead. Ender says, I have to say behind us, not only because it's a known value and the future is speculation, but because things used to be so much simpler and people had much better values slash patriotism. Colonel Ripper says, feeling positive about the future, so ahead. But here's a really good one from Joe. He says, the 800-pound gorilla is our national debt. The number is inconceivable, and everyone ignores it. With our current trajectory, our best days are behind us. I hate saying that.
I didn't say it in a way of, trying to be less hopeful or optimistic or whatever it is, but I just know how human nature is, and I've seen the way this generation is and the people that are younger than me. It's not getting any better. It truly is not getting any better. And I think if this is the pool of people we're drawing to lead the country, then it's kind of scary. And to think that even the politicians that are in here that are old, decrepit, and look at it as if they were young and spry to try to get those type of votes are trying to destroy as much as they can before, because they've already made their fortunes. They're trying to destroy everything they can underneath them because, what do they care? They've already got what they got. It doesn't give me a lot of optimism that things are going to get better before it gets really bad. So, isn't that kind of human nature to look back and say things were better back in the day? Like every generation says that, though. I would think.
I think so. It's kind of a wistful thing. At a funeral, you usually don't think back to all the negatives. You try to think back to the positives, and it seems easier to do at that moment. I think that is human nature.
Yep. All right. Thanks for all the people that voted in this. This is really good. How many votes total did we have on that YouTube poll? Does it say?
Oh, good question. Let me pull it up.
151.
Yeah.
Not bad. 151. Okay, that's a pretty big sample size, I think. All right. There's a lot of optimism, people listening here and watching perhaps on the YouTube page. Maybe they will change their tune if Joe Biden gets reelected. That could change real quick. All right, the big speech tonight, you have Donald Trump that is going to be hitting the stage about 9 o'clock. It's the last day of the Republican convention. Anything can happen with the Democrat side between now and then. You have the president of the United States, Joe Biden. He's set aside now because he tests positive for COVID, very mild case. I brought this up just earlier. You remember when Donald Trump got COVID and the way everyone reacted? They made it sound like it was a good thing that he got COVID, as if, hey, he's getting what he deserves type of feel because of, the way the virus was still somewhat unknown. What a change of tune we're seeing right now today with Joe Biden getting it. And I got to tell you that it's probably even more dangerous that he gets it today because of how old and all these other problems he's got going with him. It makes it so much harder to shake off a virus like this. And that is one of the biggest mistakes we made was the virus and the elderly during this whole time of the pandemic. The way that, in Michigan and other states, there was just, no separation between those that were getting it. The only separation was we're going to keep you in the nursing home with other vulnerable adults. We're not going to allow you to go fight this at home with your family. And so many elderly people died because of policies like that. That's why you got to take it so seriously. And, I know that there was a lot that was unknown, but I got to tell you, going back to when Donald Trump got it, he waited until the stock markets closed on Friday, went to Walter Reed, fought it, came back before they reopened, did that big moment where he was like at the White House and showed that he's strong. And you can tell he was fighting it there. I feel like he purposely tried to play that as a way to not disrupt America's economy in a time of uncertainty to show strength as a nation. That was you want to talk about moments where he shows his true strength, moment like that. And on Saturday, when he steps up and, says, continue to fight after he was just shot through an assassination attempt, that shows you this is a tough dude. Is there any moment you can think of Joe Biden where he's tough? Can you think of any strength moment in the past 4 years from Joe? I really can't think of any.
Yeah, I can only think of one that comes to mind right away. And it's when he did a video challenging Donald Trump to a debate.
So tough talking. That's a difference.
It was tough talking. There was a lot of jump cuts in that video too.
Make my day, pal.
My day, pal. He was talking tough in that video, and I gotta say, I don't know that he followed through with that in that debate.
I think he made Donald Trump's day.
Yeah, he might have.
He did. It's so funny, Donald. And they're like, "Oh no way, Donald Trump will ever give to all of these concessions." He's like, "No, let's do it." It's like, I know what's going to happen.
That's
No,
what's
let's do it.
amazing. This debate has destroyed Joe Biden's campaign, entirely destroyed it. And he's the one that set everything, all the grounds, all the dates, all the rules were all set by him.
Yep, exactly. Talking about this gunman, did you see that they're having a hard time finding any information about this kid? He wasn't really on social media. There was an erroneous report that came out that said he posted some things online, but it turned out that was a troll that posted it. So they're struggling to find any indication that he was posting some sort of like, a lot of these school shooters, they put manifestos out and they post things online, big warning signs. They can't find anything on this guy online. He didn't post it in Discord or his groups or on social media, none of that stuff. But they did find, apparently, the gunman, quote, researched a member of the royal family, the FBI says. That came out of left field to me, didn't it? So he scoped out the venue in Pennsylvania. We know what happened on Saturday. But apparently he was also very interested in the royal family. So did it come down to the two? Was he planning something else? And then the other thing is the detonator they found with him. That's been a kind of a new development.
Oh, I haven't seen the detonator thing. I saw the royal family thing. What's the detonator?
Well, the detonator was they found a detonator with him, and it looks like he put explosives in his car, which he parked closer to the event. So that was something that was not detonated, right? So there was no explosion or whatever, but they found it with him. And that could, I don't think they have fully given all the details of what kind of explosives or anything else at this point, but it looks like he was planning other things too.
You
didn't hear that side of it?
No, I didn't. I read about the royal family and the more I looked into that, you're right. First of all, there is so little about this guy that it's creepy that you're like, why? He's clearly a figure in world history now. I mean, I hate to say it, but he is. And he didn't leave anything about wanting to be known for anything. He didn't leave a manifesto. He never, ever wrote anything on social media about politics at all. And then he tries to assassinate the president. That's weird. But the royal family thing, like, I don't know. It just seems like he could have been searching Meghan Markle because he's interested in her, That could have been anything. I think there's a lot of speculation that he was, maybe he was planning something, but I didn't see that.
I got to be honest, I'm not going to remember this guy's name. I'll recognize his photo if it ever comes up in like a documentary or something. But I'm not going to remember this guy. I'll remember the event. I'll remember what happened after. I'll probably remember the speech tonight that Donald Trump is giving. And you said 97.1 will broadcast this tonight from the RNC. That's good. I mean, what a huge, huge speech. So I know some people are planning to watch it on television. Some people may watch the clips after the fact. But if you're working or if you're driving, you pop on 97.1 or the Odyssey app. You can listen to it tonight. That's going to be a really big thing. I got to say, Ethan, Ryan Wiggins, so fun to work with you here again. And I get to do it again next week with you, Ryan Wiggins. That'll be fun.
Yeah, as always, we're kind of like adding the team back slowly. So Brad's coming back at the beginning of the week. Annie will be back in the middle of next week. But until then, we'll see you one more time.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for the Annie Fry Show. If you want to try to find me online, Ryan Recker Radio, on Facebook, on Twitter at Ryan Recker. Let's do it again soon. Have a great day on 97.1 FM Talk.
Biden's open border policies are crushing Missouri. Yet, the Jeff City Swamp is boosting a program subsidizing health care for illegals, the same program behind Planned Parenthood's discount abortion scheme. Thankfully, Iraq War veteran Andrew Bailey is on guard. Like Trump, he's a fighter. As your Attorney General, Andrew Bailey won't stop fighting illegal immigrants and Planned Parenthood. Call 314-340-6816 and thank Andrew Bailey. Stand For Us PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. StandForUs.com.
Help if you want to sell your home as is. Help doesn't matter the condition it's in. Help if you want a simple sale with no agency fees. Claiming groups got you covered, no contingency. House a mess, roof damage, bad taxes, that's all okay. Make sure you remember to call Claiming Real Estate.
Let us help you. ClaimingGroup.com. KLAMEN Group.com.
Experience the beauty of custom crafted windows that enhance your home's aesthetics and energy efficiency. Look no further than Infinity from Marvin. Proudly brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. Why choose Infinity? These windows are not just strong, they're 8 times stronger than vinyl, providing unmatched security for your home. Plus, with Lakeside's expert installation, you're guaranteed precision and perfection. Visit our showroom or call Lakeside Renovation and Design today. Elevate